Hey everybody, what's going on? Here we are again, Wednesday night, doing some more true crime.
Yep. Serial killer, child killer.
This motherfucker.
Yeah.
I'm surprised we haven't done a show about this guy. I feel like he's not super well known in the US. Even though he is considered by most
To be the most
to
prolific.
be the most prolific, or at least in the top 3. Not saying that's a good thing to be. I'm just saying that.
I remember hearing something about this guy. They think he killed hundreds of children. And I remembered it being like in little favelas in South and Central America, South America, and Chile or something, wasn't it?
It's Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru.
Colombia, Ecuador, Peru. Okay, yeah.
Which is where he traveled back and forth
Yeah.
to. There are
Yeah.
they know like pretty much for sure that he killed probably about 110. But it's possible that it's as many as 300.
Yeah. I remember reading about it. Now, I remember, what I read was just very brief summary on it. It's a South American case, And I could have swore it was little boys, but Jen said no, it's little girls.
It's almost all little girls between the
okay.
ages of 8 and 12.
Okay.
He did kill a few adults, but there was extenuating circumstances, I guess, which we'll get into. But, it was almost all little girls.
Okay.
Other than those 3.
Yeah. And they knew he was doing it. There's like weird shit. He'd get caught, they let him go, that kind of stuff. And I don't remember. It's been so long since I read about it. It was sketchy. Sketchy South American shit.
Yeah, pretty sketchy. And I will note that, by all accounts, this dude, like a lot of serial killers, had just a horrific childhood. And I'm not talking about, like, your run-of-the-mill, like, American terrible childhood. I'm talking about your run-of-the-mill 1940s and 50s, Central South America Civil War type upbringing, like homeless at 8 years old type of shit.
Yeah.
But I will also note that a lot of children grew up in that environment and presumably did not become serial killers and kill 300 little girls.
Yeah.
So
I know the place well because I grew up there. I partially grew up in Brazil, São Paulo. I speak Portuguese, went to school there. So I know, and I've been all over South America. Fucking Uruguay, Paraguay, Chile, Argentina. I think it was the only ones I went to. I don't remember any of the other ones. But my parents were taking me. I was a teenager. And it's a great place, I hear fucking people, sometimes in Europe talking about, well, you guys got all those immigration problems with, from Central and South America. And they go, yeah, but they're Americans. They're from here. They're Western. They have Christmas. They're Catholics. It's the same basic culture. But some of those South American countries and some of the Central American countries are so fucked up from civil wars, fucking total corruption, terrible governments. And what was weird is, like, when the U.S. wrote its Constitution, most of those countries down there kind of copied the U.S. Constitution. But just the way the countries were and the layouts and the politics and just the way the money flowed, it didn't work out the same way. They can get it together, and some countries are making good improvements, but they're not all the same. South America's nice, man, real nice. And some of the Central American countries are extremely poor. But because the governments, in general, I can't generalize them all, but let's just say in general, the governments are fucked up. All right, they tend to be kind of like underfunded, not taken seriously by the people. They're kind of like don't have any credibility, and law enforcement's fucking real spotty, and the way the courts are run are kind of fucking crazy. So they're a place where something like this could happen. A dude just slipping through the cracks and could kill 100 kids. Well, as long as he keeps moving.
And the fact that he preyed on
poor people, probably
street children, indigenous girls.
Yeah.
Knowing that they wouldn't really, that no one would really care. I mean, that their families cared, obviously.
If they had families.
But, some of them did. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because he wasn't super discriminate.
Yeah.
He would just, like, his thing was, like, he would target little girls in markets, and he would just try to lure them away from the market.
Caring isn't enough. You have to have resources to fucking make sure that the fucking law hunts them down. And some of these poor families, you know, don't have time to take, they don't have enough money to take off from work to berate these fucking systems and these law enforcement agencies and that really don't have any skills or underfunded, understaffed, you know. They can't catch anybody, you know. One of the things I noticed about living in Brazil is that the police in Brazil, when I was there at the time, if you're just talking about the civilian police, like city police or whatever, are kind of like mall cops. Overweight, older guys, fucked up little revolver. And they're not really out there to fight crime. They're not really getting paid enough to put their asses on the line. They're really there to write tickets. That's what they do, because the state makes money. Or the government makes money off writing tickets. They don't really make money off stopping crime. So that's why you have fucking cartels and crime and organized crime, you know. The military police was more like what we would consider to be a police. You know, dudes that were trying to enforce the law. But they're not enough of them. And at the time when I was there in the 80s, they were just kind of like badly trained. And they'd kill you with a drop of a hat back then. And they killed little kids. Those homeless kids in Rio, they'd toss them off bridges. Because they would just run wild like packs of dogs and rob people. They'd kill each other and shit. So the cops knew who they were.
Yeah, there's a bridge. A lot of that going on.
There's a bridge out there that fucking they found out thousands of fucking children's skeletons at it. And they stopped it, but the cops would just arrest them and throw them off a bridge because they couldn't send them to jail. There was no room in the jails, and they were minors. They'd let them right back out. So they just toss them because no abortion. You know.
Zach says, Jenny, I just realized this motherfucker is kind of one of your catchphrases. That'd make a good shirt or something.
One of the what? A test what?
One of your catchphrases, my catchphrases.
Catchphrases, okay.
Yeah. Gramther says, Coral Watts killed 80 to 100 in the U.S., but no one knows about him. I'm 99% sure we have done a show about Coral Watts, though.
Coral Watts?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Who was he?
I don't remember, like, all the... Yeah, he killed a fuck ton of people, and he's one of the ones that's kind of, like... weird because he has a really high body count, but he's not like one of the big marquee serial killer names.
I forgot.
It's really strange because every now and then, because you know I like true crime, so I'm kind of like always going down these weird rabbit holes. And if you go to like on the Wikipedia list or whatever of like most prolific serial killers, I think that's how I found this dude, because this dude was like right at the top.
Yeah. And
I was like, why does nobody know who this is? And I guess like more Americans are kind of more worried about like American serial killers.
Yeah.
And I guess to a lesser extent British serial killers. Even though I've seen like a lot of people that are even into true crime in the United States don't know a lot of British serial killers, but they're better known than weirdly like ones from Central or South America are.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, even though those ones tend to have higher body counts than the ones here.
Yeah.
Just because, and I think it's largely maybe because a lot of them grew up the same way, the same time that this dude grew up, and it was just like easier pickings, I guess, because it's just like no one was really doing anything about it. So you could just kind of operate with impunity, I suppose. So, you know what I mean?
Well, ineffective law enforcement.
Now, Gramther says, I've been watching for years, haven't seen Coral Watts yet. I'm going to look that up. I could have sworn we did a show about Coral Watts.
I know the name. I'm trying to remember what case that was.
I'm going to have to look because
I thought I did.
I was 99% sure we did a show about Coral Watts.
I think we did.
Or
we mentioned him on a show or something.
Yeah, Tequila said makes me think of Dean Coral. Yeah, we did a show about him too, the Candyman.
Yeah.
Smug said also asked about Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. Yeah, we did a show about him. Yeah. That was like a long time ago. Yeah, Grump said, if you have done a show on Coral Watts, please let me know. Okay, I will. I'll look it up. Like I said, there's entirely sure I could be wrong, but I thought we had done one on him.
Yeah, I know the name.
But
I just can't.
I don't know. I'll look it up.
I just don't remember anything.
Because, like I said, I tend to like want to do shows about, like I said, serial killers have really high body counts, but for some reason aren't like household names. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, remember we did a show about Israel Keys, who's one of the most fucked up serial killers ever, and it's just like I feel like he's like B or C tier as far as serial killers, like as far as like name recognition goes, which is crazy to me. But For some reason, I don't know, and I think I've discussed this before. I'm not entirely sure what it is that makes some serial killers household names and some of them not, even though sometimes like other serial killers have done way more fucked up shit or killed way more people, and I'm like, why don't more people know about that one, but they know about that one who did bad shit but not as bad.
I think it had to do with the media of the time, whether or not they focused on it, whether or not a panic came out, whether or not there was a catchy name for him. A lot of stuff.
Yeah, I guess a lot of things like contribute.
His PR.
Yeah, and I guess it just depended on the time. Maybe something else was going on at the same time, and no one was thinking about it. I don't really know.
I think a lot of the ones that want to be known want to be the Zodiac. The ones that, like, you know, BTK probably wanted to be like the Zodiac.
Yeah.
He have his own name. He gave himself a name, you know. BTK.
Which, loser move.
You know, and then talking with the cops and, you know, that kind of shit. I think a lot of them want that.
He wasn't smart enough to come up with any cool codes or anything.
Yeah.
And his dumb ass got caught. Although I will say that he probably wouldn't have gotten caught if he didn't want attention so bad.
Yeah. If he'd shut up, he'd have got away with it.
Yeah. But he couldn't take it.
Talking.
He couldn't take it.
Yeah.
He had to take credit.
Yeah. He wanted to get caught so people would know who he was, I think.
Like I said, a lot of them do kind of want to be like fucking famous.
Yeah.
You know, and he kept threatening he was going to kill people again.
He wanted people to know that he was the Minotaur.
Which, okay. Not really the first person I think of when I think of a Minotaur.
Yeah.
Actually, not even the 40,000th person I think of when I think of a Minotaur.
Yeah.
You know? So I guess that's what it is. But yeah, so this guy, actually, it's actually a really interesting story, and I'm surprised that it's not better known, especially because it kind of highlights how shitty the whole situation was where he grew up. Like I said, not excusing it, because a lot of other kids grew up in that environment and did not become serial killers, so there must have been something about him. But yeah, and the fact too, and it's weird too, because this dude legit disappeared, like in 1999. Nobody has any idea what happened to him. He could still be alive. I doubt it. He'd be 77-ish if he was still alive. But he disappeared in 1999, and no one has seen hide nor hair of him since. I suspect that he was probably killed by vigilantes, because there were a lot of bounties out on him, like from the victims' families and whatnot. But it's possible he could still be alive. There were like some later murders that took place, because his murders mostly happened between about 1978 and 1980. There were some murders that took place in like the mid to late 2000s in that area that were very similar. And that's when they kind of like reopened the investigation into it and shit like that. But so it's possible that he's still out there and he just hasn't been caught. But like I said, I don't know. He'd be like a pretty old man now. So I don't know how fucking spry he's going to be chasing little girls around, you know? So yeah. So I guess we'll get into it. Yeah, American Military said, I think Pedro Lopez became a recipient of jungle justice. I think that's probably the most likely outcome, because after all of the shit about him came out, and spoiler alert, he went to prison, but not for as long as he should have. And when he got out, everybody knew what that motherfucker looked like. All the cops had a picture of him, like, and shit like that. So
they killed his ass.
I think he probably got killed, and rightly so.
Yeah.
You know, somebody killed him and like threw him out in the fucking desert somewhere.
Probably a group
threw him
of
off a
people.
cliff or something.
It's a group of people.
I'm sure. Yeah, CB said the parents cut his dick off. I imagine it was probably something like that. And like I said, can't really blame him, to be honest with you. So, as I mentioned, this motherfucker, there's my catchphrase again, is known as the Monster of the Andes. He was actually born in Colombia. And as I mentioned, the minimum body count is 110, but they think it's probably closer to 300. His murder spree took place about over a 2-year period in 3 countries: Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru. Most of the ones they know about took place in Ecuador, because that's kind of where he got caught and everything. But you know, he said that he had murdered other people, and he did like lead people to graves and stuff. So interestingly, the Guinness Book of World Records for a while listed him as the world's most prolific serial killer, until I guess the editors of the Guinness Book of World Records were like, We don't really want to publish this as like a number, and then some budding serial killer out there is like, challenge accepted, you know what I mean? And then just start, so like, it's kind of fucked up, like making it seem like a murder is a competition or something. So they took that classification out, so he's not in there anymore, like in the mid-2000s or something. But he was in there for a little while for being the world's most prolific serial killer. That said, I think there is one guy that has allegedly killed more people than him, but I can't remember what his name is. I think he's also Colombian. So he was actually born in 1948, like I said, in Tolima, Colombia. Now, his parents had 13 children, of which he was the 7th. And his mom, I've heard different sources. Mom was like a laundress, but according to him, and here's the thing, some of the stuff about his upbringing is true. But some of the stuff might be exaggerated. I'm not entirely sure. Because you know how serial killers do. Like, they inflate stuff. They make stuff seem worse than it was. Or I'm not saying it wasn't bad. I'm just saying that he might have made it seem worse than it was. And they might also inflate their victim count. But like I said, nobody is questioning that it's totally possible that he could have killed 300 people. You know what I mean? Just given the circumstances and the number of people that they know that he killed.
He probably doesn't know.
300 people, that's like 2 or 3 a week. And you'd think like after a while you'd lose track. Like, especially because most of them but they weren't all homeless. They were just kind of like, you know, a lot of the villages were, you know, poor and stuff like that and shit like that.
2 or 3 a week, that's quite a task. And not getting caught.
Yeah.
But I have to see the conditions, like you said. You know, a lot might have been just kind of semi-homeless kids and fucking, out in the ghetto.
Oh, Zach says, Luis Garavito. Thank you, that was his name. I knew I'd heard it, but I couldn't remember it. Because I was watching a documentary earlier that mentioned him. ZB says, Harold Shipman, who I'm, again, 99% sure we've done a show about, has the record in the UK with over 200 murders. He was the guy that was the doctor, right? Because I think we did a show that was like doctors and nurses that killed people. So it's a lot easier to do it in that context. Yeah. Because, you know, no one will suspect you. It's like, oh, no, they died of natural causes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a lot easier to get away with than, like, pulling people in an alley and chopping them up. I don't remember, like, all the details offhand. You know what I mean? But, yeah, so thanks for coming up for that name. Because I heard his name earlier today, but I couldn't remember it. Like, the guy that has killed more people than this guy. So this guy's number 2. Sorry. Like I said, it's not a contest. Like, don't try to, like, get the gold medal for like serial killing. So yeah. So some sources said that his mom was just was a laundress. He said that his mom was a sex worker. I don't know if that's true.
Probably both.
She could be both. Both those things could be true. Like, you know, you don't make a lot of money doing other people's laundry, I presume. Yeah. And you have 13 kids, so you know, you got to make fucking money somehow. Now, they lived in Saldana at first. Now, his dad was a rancher. And 6 months before Pedro was born, his dad was murdered. Now, in Colombia, in this area of Colombia at this time, there was a really, really bad civil war. It's not clear, like, which faction, like, what side the dad was on. But he was murdered in, like, an ambush type situation. So after that, Pedro's pregnant mom was pregnant with him, and then went to her mom's house in El Espinal, and she stayed there until she gave birth to him. Now later, Pedro would claim that he grew up in a very abusive household, that his mom was very abusive, and obviously his dad was dead. He said his mom was a prostitute, and she would like have sex with clients like in front of the kids, and all this other kind of stuff. Now, the neighbors did say that his mom was pretty strict and that he wasn't really allowed to play with the other kids, but I don't know if she was actually abusive or not. According to her side of the story, she said this kid hated me like from day one. And she, like, even when he was little, he was just saying, like, how much he hated me and all this other kind of stuff. So I don't know. It's very possible that his mom was abusive, or it's possible that he could be just making that up to make people feel bad. I'm not really sure.
Could be.
Yeah, so either thing could be true.
Yeah.
Now, according to him, his mom caught him molesting his sister, one of his sisters. And his mom kicked him out the house when he was about 8, 9, 10 years old. And then he was, he was homeless for a little while. And then during the time that he was homeless, this adult man came and said, "Hey, I'll give you some food and all this other stuff and a place to stay." And he was like, "Okay." And so he goes to the dude's house, and the dude like horribly raped him. So again, it could have happened, obviously, or he could just be making it up. There's no way of knowing. Now, his mom, according to his mom, said that he, other than, saying that he hated her all the time, like, he was actually a pretty normal kid, and that he ran away on his own because he didn't like her when he was about, again, like 9, 10 years old.
Everything you said so far is not mutually exclusive. It could all be true
It could all be true at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
sounds like just a chaotic lower working class Central American family.
Yeah.
South American family.
Yeah. So, however it happened,
trying to survive, got all these kids in the house. She's fucking doing laundry. She's turning tricks. She's doing all the. She's trying to keep
13 kids running around being like, Jesus Christ, I can't imagine.
Dad's all working all the time. Fucking one kid pops out and goes, I hate you. Yeah, okay, right, I got shit.
Yeah, whatever, I got shit to do.
It's probably that.
Trying to keep food on the table here.
Get your hands off the other kids. Get the fuck out of here. And then dude tears him up. All that shit could be true.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's not mutually exclusive necessarily. But, it's not a great situation all around. Whoever's the villain, or indeed if any of them are.
Those countries are Catholic, man. They don't have birth control.
Yeah.
You get pregnant, you're going to have it.
Whether you want to or not.
Yeah.
Not great. So
it's a problem for those societies. I don't know if they're still like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure, I don't know what it's like down there nowadays, but back in this is like the 50s.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Like late 50s. So Pedro eventually ends up in Bogota, and he's about 10 years old. And there was it's a massive city, right? So there was a lot of street kids, a lot of homeless children. And they would rob people and eat out of dumpsters and shit like that, like just to survive because they were living on the street, right? And they would also, and these were little kids, not teenagers, like he was only 10, I think, when he got there. And, that's about right, about 8, 10 years old. Some of them were teenagers, obviously, but yeah, so there's like little kids, and they would form gangs for protection, as you would. Also, another thing that a lot of the kids did, and that Pedro was very enthusiastic about, was using bazuco, which is like a cocaine paste, and also marijuana, and so they would just do drugs all the time, because they were malnourished, and it made them forget about it, So like I said, it's kind of a shitty situation all around.
Hold on.
Like, for what?
Grandparents wants to know why there's so many Colombian couples and Colombians on fucking stream mate. Yeah. Colombia is just rife with prostitution. It's just part of the... I was showing Jen like a quick fucking clip video we're going through Twitter. And it was all these goth girls, all these fucking Colombian goth hookers, fucking line the entire street. They're all fucking dressed up. They all look good. They're every one of them on their phone. Remember that?
Yeah.
But no, it's just... We had a friend from Colombia who married one of our friends, Aurora. He's pretty famous, and he was Jacob Angel. Look like a damn vampire. Fucking...
You can find him online.
You can find him online.
He's fairly famous.
He went back
in the goth scene.
Yeah, he's been on TV in Colombia and everything. And he goes, I would never marry a Colombian woman. Every one of them's a whore. I was like, really? He goes, oh yeah. He says, if you're good looking, then you're a hooker.
Well, I don't imagine there's lots of ways to like.
There's no way to make money.
So
yeah,
you gotta do what you gotta do.
Fucking severe.
Sucks, but
the way they manage they just can't manage an economy. The corruption is so fucking rife. The rich people there want to remain rich, and the only way they can remain rich is by keeping you poor as possible. They don't want your kids competing with their kids. Very class oriented. Poverty's on purpose in Central and South America, all right, which is people up here can't conceive of that.
Oh,
but it's a means
really
of control. Well. That's how you control a population.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Keep them poor.
Yeah, because they're so worried about like making money that they can't
fight you.
Else. Yeah.
They're worried about where the next meal's coming from.
Yeah.
And you can
do that
totally control them that way.
American military says, Jenny, is Pedro Lopez the inspiration for the Spanish language film Crónicas with John Leguizamo? I've actually never heard of that movie, but I just wrote it down. So I don't know, actually. It very well might be. So he's running around with a gang of little kids. They're all on drugs. They're robbing people for money and begging and shit like that. Not surprisingly, Pedro was sexually assaulted many times. Now, for a little while, and it's kind of sad that this didn't really work out, but there was an American family that were living in Colombia around this. I think they were missionaries, but I'm not entirely sure. And they saw him, in particular, in the street, and he was real malnourished, like he said, he was real scrawny, and they took pity on him. They felt bad. And they essentially adopted him. So they took him to their house, they put him in school, and by all accounts, I'm not entirely sure how long he was there, but they gave him like a very stable home and like tried to get him back on track. You know what I mean? When he was about 12 years old at this stage. But for whatever reason, because again, there are conflicting accounts on this. Some accounts say that he couldn't deal with people actually being nice to him because he lived on the streets for 2-3 years at this point, had been raped multiple times, like everybody was fucking everybody over, and that's all he knew. So the fact that this family was like being nice to him and had like adopted him, he's like, when's the other shoe gonna drop type of thing, and he flipped out and ran away. That's one account. The other account says that the school he was at, one of the male teachers either sexually harassed him or actually like molested him, and that he used that as an excuse to take off. Now, some of his biographers later on said that didn't happen, that he just made it up, and that it's possible that, I'm not saying the kid wasn't abused in other ways, but they're saying maybe he made that up because, like I said, he had such a fucked up childhood that he didn't understand like how to trust people. Anybody that tried to be nice to him, he thought they wanted something or they're going to fuck him over, because that's what had happened with everybody up to that point. So he couldn't handle it, and so he just took off. So sadly, that situation did not work out. Like I said, had it, I'm not saying it would have worked out great in that instance, but that family did seem to try to like do right by him, and he just left. He ran away. Now, after he ran away, he kind of started doing, he's slightly older. He's older at this point. He's like getting into his late teens, early 20s. And for a long time, he started getting into car theft, and he turned out to be really good at it. He discovered like some hidden talent there, for car theft. And he kind of had a little bit of a reputation for being like the go-to guy, like for all the chop shops like in the area. Like if you wanted somebody to go steal a car, like Pedro was the kid to do it, So he got really good at it. So he did that for a while, while he was living on the street or whatever. But in 1969, he got caught for auto theft, and he was sentenced to 7 years in prison. Now, a couple of days after arriving at the prison, he was reportedly raped by 4 other inmates. Now, Pedro, at this point, he didn't report it because he wouldn't. So what he did was, over the next 2-week period, he either found or made a shiv and killed 3 of them. Now, everybody in the prison knew what had happened, but, the warden or anything like that, they didn't do anything about it because they figured, hey, self-defense, hey, fair is fair. You know what I mean? This is like a fucking prison in Colombia, right? It's like they're not really going to worry too much about it. They did, however, extend his sentence by 2 years, without making too much of a to-do about it. But, like I said, nobody that worked at the prison was like, no big loss. You know what I mean? It's just three more inmates just got killed. But after that, he got, like, a lot more respect in the prison, because he wasn't showy about it, evidently. Like, he just went very quietly. I don't know if he shanked them while they were sleeping, or something like that. But the fact that
Casper and a motherfucker.
Yeah, like, but the fact that 3 of them, like, turned up dead and everybody knew he did it, but he didn't make a big deal about it. Everybody's like, okay, well, don't fuck with that guy then.
Yeah.
Because he'll just, like, fucking stab you in your sleep.
In prison, that's a phenomenon called Caspering.
Yeah.
Casper the friendly ghost.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking, everybody wakes up in the morning and one of them's dead. What the hell happened? Don't know. Ghost got him. Yeah.
Yep, we don't know nothing.
You don't know nothing, yeah.
And like I said, I could think that was the situation here, because everybody knew he did it, because everybody knew what had happened, but they were just like, they didn't really do anything about it. Like, as probably they shouldn't have, because, you know, that's kind of fucked up. Now, he got released from prison in 1978. And at this point, he starts kind of wandering around South America. And he would kind of mostly stay in Bogota, but he would just go around. He went into Ecuador and into Peru, and just kind of working odd jobs, you know, shit like that, just making a living. Now, during this time period, starting in 1978, this was because the 3 guys he killed in prison were his first 3 murders. And I don't know if he just got a taste for it, or, I mean, obviously that was just like a revenge killing, but the weird thing about it is that he also, I think, sort of considered the murders of the little girls as sort of revenge killings also. This is kind of like a Carl Panzram type of situation where he's like, I had such a fucked up childhood that I'm going to take it out on the whole world. It's that kind of thing. So he somehow decided that after he got out of prison in 1978, that he was just going to take his rage out on everybody. Everybody meaning little girls, because that's all he killed, as far as anyone knows, after that point.
I'm already questioning his narrative, but, you know.
Well, like I said, he's a serial killer. You can't really trust anything what they say 100%.
Nah, yeah. And I don't even trust what Carl Panzram says, all right?
Yeah, I don't either. You can't trust them entirely.
But Carl Panzram did grow up in all-male little institutions, boys' homes and prisons and shit like that, where they were sexually assaulting him. And when he finally got out, his rage against men, he just would kill men. And he'd rape and kill men. He'd pull guns on men and make them have sex with each other and then kill them. Fucking little boys, too. So he just hated anybody who was a man. And it's weird when you think about it. You say, was that a gay serial killer? And I'm saying, I don't think there's anything really gay about him. Because, you know, I think to be a gay dude, you have to be into dudes. You know what I mean? You have to want relationships with dudes. He didn't want that. He was just killing dudes and taking sexual fucking frustrations out on them, or doing things sexual to them because that was done to him. And he didn't have any interest in women at all. That's just weird, you know. I don't know. Zach, would you consider Carl Panzram to be gay? I don't really think so. I think he was just, I don't know. I mean, yeah, he had sex with dudes, but he was having sex with dudes because he hated them and was killing them. Just weird. It's a weird way. I got to try to wrap my head around it. So when this dude says, well, these dudes hurt me, so I'm going to kill all these little girls, that's because I hate mankind. No. What it was is he was a pedo.
Well, yeah,
that's what it was. Yeah, because if you just want vengeance against mankind in particular, you're killing male adults, women, and just everything.
Yeah, that's
there
the thing.
Like
it's
sex
like,
involved.
Look, it's like if he had just gone on and killed
just
rapists like he did in prison,
that might be.
I don't think anybody would be like.
That might not make that may make more sense. I'm gonna kill rapists. Any kind of rapist, I'm gonna.
Well,
kill.
Anybody that fucks with me, like, I'll kill them. Like I said, nobody would think that was strange.
You don't get raped in prison, then all of a sudden you're gonna rape and kill little girls.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense. No, he's just trying to explain his predilection. in a way to try to make himself look favorable.
Well, yeah, that's what they all do.
You know, that's what he's trying to do.
They're trying to make. I don't know about all of them.
They're trying to become sympathetic.
Yeah, but I definitely do think that they know deep down that they're fucked up.
Yeah.
But they're trying to make it seem like they're not fucked up, like to other people, or that other people should feel sorry for them because, you know, society made me this way, blah, blah, blah. You know, I think...
He was a weirdo. His mom got rid of him for Chester and his sister.
Yeah, I mean...
It started early, so I'm guarantee you he was doing shit after that when he got out. He was just...
Yeah, because I totally believe that because he admitted it. He did admit groping his sister.
Yeah.
Molesting his sister. So, so yeah, like when he was a kid.
Yeah.
So yeah, that kind of shit starts early, I think.
Yeah.
So
I think I don't have any brothers and sisters, but probably shit like that happens. But that doesn't mean you're gonna be a serial killer. But I think sometimes that might mean that those dudes move on to do other weird shit too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they're just somebody that can't control sexual impulses.
I mean, I have siblings. I don't know how common that is. It's like I'm weirded out even just thinking about it, which I think most normal people are. But it might be more common than we think. Like,
I don't know.
Usually fucked up stuff is. Like I said, it's not normal to me because I'm just like, ugh. That's a gross thing to think about. But like, you know, I don't know. I don't think of my siblings that way. Okay, you know what I mean? I have three of them.
Well, nature kind of wires you in a certain way where you're not really interested. So that's my understanding. That there's no attraction.
Now, there is some evidence to suggest that siblings that were not raised together, like for instance, if they were adopted by different families and they meet each other as adults, then it is more likely that they will fall in love with each other.
Yeah.
I have seen some studies done on that, which is really weird. But if you were raised together, even if you're not biologically related, you tend not to think of that person in like a sexual way because that's just kind of how most people evolved.
I heard that the fucking incident is very high at twins separated at birth. That even though they're the same sex, but I think it leans more towards the females, that they just go nuts. And evidently, if they're twins of different, what they call fraternal twins, or where they're two different sexes, what do they call that?
Yeah, fraternal.
Fraternal twins, yeah. They're not identical. They're just fraternal. Evidently, if they're separated at birth, and then if they find out about each other, evidently they just become obsessed with each other.
I've heard that. I don't think it happens in every instance, but I think it is like more likely.
Yeah, that it's they like think we probably ought to separate these two. Because evidently they become absolutely obsessed.
But like I said, it's not weird when you think about it, but even kids that are adopted into families that aren't biologically related, if you were raised together, like they tend to not have sexual feelings toward each other at all.
Well, there was evolutionary biology explains all that.
Well, yeah, it's just kind of like they didn't obviously, they don't want inbreeding.
Yeah.
So you're not really sexually attracted to children that you're raised alongside generally.
Yeah.
There are exceptions,
or
obviously.
Parents.
Yeah, or parents either. Like I said, there are exceptions. There's some weirdos out there, but you know what I mean. I think it's like, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how strong the drive is because look how popular like incest porn is. Although that's not necessarily real life. Like you wouldn't really do that in real life. Like just because you'd watch.
They're not fantasizing about having sex with one of their own siblings, or relatives. They're fantasizing about somebody else doing it.
Somebody else doing it. Like ooh.
Yeah. So it's kind of like an outrage kind of taboo thing.
Which I get.
They wouldn't do it, but they're just kind of getting off on somebody else doing it.
Yeah, because like I said, a lot of stuff that I would sometimes like in porn, like I wouldn't want to do it in real life.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, fucking that whole Flowers in the Attic series was fucking incest porn.
It was, yeah.
And that goes way back, yeah.
I only read the first one. I read that when I was a kid, and I was just like, Jesus
I just
Christ.
heard all about it, so I ain't reading that shit.
It was messed up.
That's girl smut.
It's girl smut, yeah. For real.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they were all, I don't know if they were all like that. Like I said, I just read the first one, Flowers in the Attic, because there's a whole series.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was definitely some
that and the fucking Minotaur milking fucking farms. Yeah, Minotaur milking farm. What was that called? Did you hear that one?
No.
Okay, yeah, they were talking about that earlier.
I have no idea what you're
talking about. Some woman, they talking about somebody. They did a show. Somebody did a show on YouTube, and kind of everybody else started talking about it, about the woman smut industry. And like the number one seller was one called fucking the Rainbow Minotaur Milking Farm. And a girl who's fucking down on her luck, fucking to pay her college bills, has to go get a work at this farm. And what the farm is she has to milk these minotaurs every morning to use the secretions from the minotaur to make basically Viagra for men. It's just weird, man. Weird shit, man.
That's a good story.
It's illustrated. Yeah, let me see. I think it was Minotaurs. Was it Minotaurs or
what?
Do you want me to fill it up for you?
No, I was showing the Tequilips asked about my. I think it was Tequilips asked about my cup. Okay, yeah, and I was showing him the cup.
Yeah, the shiny.
Yeah, I got it at Spirit Halloween like a long time ago. It's just plastic. I have a trick or treat one too with Sam on it.
Yeah,
but it's over there someplace. But yeah, so yeah, I don't know. Like porn's kind of interesting.
Yeah,
because,
women read weirder shit than what guys fucking actually watch.
I think that's probably true.
Yeah, women have weird imaginations.
We do have weird imaginations.
Yeah. It's stuff that guys really wouldn't even think of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's definitely true.
Yeah.
I've come up with some weird ass shit.
Yeah,
like some stuff I wouldn't even like want to say, but you know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you do you do come up with like weird shit.
Evidently, for a while, the main one was financial domination.
That sounds boring to me, though.
Well, it was just like you're poor, and the billionaire is making you do things because you don't have any money, so she's paying you, that type of deal.
Right. So it's like, I kind of feel like
you can't say no.
That's not a lot of
money.
Women do tend. I'm not speaking for all women, obviously, but I do think it's like pretty common that some women like porn that. It's not necessarily financial domination. It's like being made to do something they don't want to do. Yeah. Or the idea of it. They don't want to do that in real life, obviously. Yeah. But it's just like thinking about, it's like, man, what would you do if this dude came and said, I'll give you $50 million if you do this fucked up thing you don't want to do, or, you know, getting raped or whatever. And it's just kind of like I said, you don't want that to happen to you in real life.
They're reading about it happening to somebody else.
But they're reading about it happening to somebody else. Yeah. Because you're kind of like, that's fucked up, but also kind of hot, but I really don't want it to happen. I don't know. It's complicated. I don't know if I can really explain
it. Your dad's dying of cancer, and you got no money, and to get the cure, this millionaire is going to pay you a certain amount of money to gangbang all his friends at the airport, in the airport lobby, with everybody watching. You know. Shit like that. You know, on Christmas. When, you know,
he's just adding more shit
on Christmas. You dressed as an elf. Just candy canes and shit.
And there are also reindeer involved.
Reindeer jump in with the head. They got fucking.
Because you got to put some at it. Since we're going with the Christmas.
Reindeer thing. Milking.
Sure, there you go. We can just have everything in this one story.
Start slowly to make you do more, but you get the $100,000 to pay for the cure to save your dad.
Yeah.
That kind of shit.
I'd need more than $100,000 to do that. Sorry.
Yeah.
A lot more. Like, that's like, I couldn't even live a couple years on that. Come on now.
Just for the cure.
Not in this economy.
It's just for the medical treatment.
Tequila says disinterested handjob porn. Yeah, I thought that was so funny.
Yeah.
You know what's hilarious? I was watching a fucking Brendan Tenold video. Like, he's that Canadian guy that reviews bad movies. And one of his Patreon supporters is named Disinterested Handjob. I laughed my ass off when I saw that, like, in the end credits. Because Tom had just recently showed me that whole subcategory of porn, which is apparently, like, a pretty big, you know, where the girl's, like, jerking you off, but she's just, like, doing other shit, like reading a book or looking on, scrolling on her phone.
Watching TV.
Like, whatever. Yeah. I'm like, apparently that's kind of a thing. And I'm just like, all right. So, you know, takes all kinds, I guess. There's literally porn of everything. You can't think of a single thing that there's not porn of. I challenge you to think of something there's not porn of. So where was I? All right, so starting in 1978, after he got out of prison, after being in prison for I think 8-9 years for auto theft, he decided he was gonna go full blown pedo murderer, because why not? You know, at this stage. So he starts a killing. Now, obviously, because he has so many victims, there aren't names for. Actually, a lot of them were not identified. Like, they found their bodies and stuff, but they don't know who they were, because a lot of them he just picked them up from, you know, they were street kids or whatever. So there were a couple of incidents that stood out, though. There was one particular incident which I thought was kind of funny. It's not funny, but kind of. So, he was in Peru, in the I'm sure I'm butchering this, but Ayacucho, and he, in broad fucking daylight, apparently, tried to kidnap a 9-year-old girl, like, from the village. I think just like walking around or something. That was kind of how he did. Like, he would go to like market places, like in villages and stuff, and he would sort of hang out and like try to ingratiate himself with the other market people, and or even say that he had a stall himself or something like that. And then he would start talking to some little girl and, hey, I'll give you some candy, or, you know, he's like a stranger with a white van, but like he didn't have a white van, obviously, but you know what I mean. He just was like, hey, I'll give you, or like a little hair comb, or like he'd give her a present to get her to like walk off with him, and then he'd snatch her. You know what I mean? So he was trying to kidnap this 9-year-old girl, and the villagers caught him, beat his ass for several hours, and the story goes they took all his clothes off and buried him up to his neck in the sand. And I was like, fair. Now, I'm not sure, like, exactly what the end game was. Like, I think they were trying to bury him alive or something. Now, he later said, and I don't know if this is true. Like I said, this might be an exaggeration. He said that they buried him up to his neck in sand and then poured syrup on him so that he would get eaten alive by bullet ants. While that's possible that they did that, and awesome if that's what they fucking did, but I don't know. He might just be making that up to sound worse than it was. But as far as I know, he did get his ass beat by these villagers for trying to kidnap a little girl around this time period. Now, I will also note that there was an American missionary who was in the village at that time and convinced them to let him go and turn him over to the police. However, the cops did, guess what? Fuck all. They did, like, eventually, like, kick him out of Peru. Like, you know, they deported him. But they didn't arrest him or nothing. Even though he legit, like, tried to abduct a 9-year-old, like, from a village and got his ass beat for his trouble. So they kicked him out of Peru. And nobody knows, like, how many people he killed in Peru, because he was there for a little while before that incident happened and he got kicked out. So he goes back to Ecuador, and even though it seems like he was largely kind of operating under the radar a bit, because the police, as witless as they seemed, did seem to be like, man, there's an awful lot of, like, little girls going missing in this area. That's weird. But they thought, sadly, because sex trafficking was so common, that they thought, oh, well, that's what happened to him. And I was like, oh, and then they were just like, oh, well, what are you going to do?
The pimp's got him.
It's not like we're going to get off our asses and investigate anything or nothing like that. I'm like, that's still a crime, though. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Prostitution's mainstream in South America.
Yeah.
It's just, and it's not legal. It's just a part of the culture. In most places, it's not legal. Well, I think they'll have certain zones where it is, but
yeah,
in most places, it's not legal.
Well,
and of course, underage prostitution is not legal, but they don't stop it.
Right.
Because well, what are we gonna do about it? The kid's gonna starve anyway.
It's just kind of like they're like, it's so widespread.
And they're like, yeah, you know, and a lot of times the people pimping them out are the parents, you know, or the mom, because they can't eat.
Right.
You know.
So yeah, it's sad, but it's like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. It's just another world.
Yeah.
It was like that in the 80s in Brazil. It was not approved of. It was frowned on.
Yeah.
But there's no way in practicality to stop it. You know, to stop it, they'd go hungry.
Yeah.
You know, there was no functioning government in that way. You know what I mean? It was an anarcho tyranny. That's what Brazil was. Just, you know, and like I said, poverty on purpose to keep you controllable and to keep you, you know, humble. And the guys at the top of that system, they love it. They can get fucking good-looking girls, gorgeous fucking girls, and because they don't have any money, so they're not uppity,
Well, and they're desperate.
They're desperate, so they're not uppity.
And they'll do anything.
Yeah.
For money, because they need to eat like everybody else does.
Yeah. So the ruling class, the upper class, and the upper middle class, they live great lives. It's just the rest of them. Nah. Mediocre to bad.
Yeah, Gramther says in Thailand it ain't legal either, but oh my gosh, what you see in Nana Plaza or Soy Cowboy.
Look at the other.
The thing about it is that and I'm a big advocate of legalizing it and regulating it.
Yeah.
Interestingly, though, I was watching this documentary series that I guess was on A&E, but I found it on Hulu, and it was called Secrets of the Bunny Ranch, and they basically made it as like a counter to the HBO show from the 2000s, which was called Cat House, which was filmed at the Bunny Ranch, which, if you're not from the United States, prostitution is not legal in most of the United States. However, in parts of Nevada, it is. So there are brothels there that are legal. And one of them, the Bunny Ranch, is probably the most famous one. And HBO did and the shit was on for like 9 seasons or something like that. I had never heard of it. I didn't have HBO at that time. I think it was like early 2000s maybe. And this documentary that they made, Secrets of the Bunny Ranch, was kind of saying like how bullshit that show was. Like they just made it look like super fun and cool and like.
Yeah.
And this one is like all these girls that work there. It was like, man, it was a shit show. Like they took all our money, and it's like people were beating our asses. Like people got murdered. It was like it was a whole thing. And like they didn't show any of that on the show. They said basically it was just like a marketing, like a recruiting tool. For the scumbag that owns the place.
Prison.
That's what they called it.
Pussy prison. Once you show up, you have to pay for your room.
You can't leave.
You can't leave. And so you start falling into debt. Because some of those girls wouldn't have a client for a week, so because they couldn't compete against the other girls, so they're slowly it's $45 a day for the room that you're living in, where they're falling into
Plus,
debt.
You had to buy all your own shit. You had to buy your own clothes. You had to buy your own lube. You had to buy your own condoms.
Yeah.
You had to buy your own sex toys.
So they start falling into debt slavery.
Yeah, and they're like, well, you can't leave unless.
Yeah.
So you live there.
Yeah, you got to live there. And then, so, no, it's not any good. But when modern technology gets, there shouldn't be brothels. Not in the modern era. There's too much bullshit. And there shouldn't be any kind of corporations involved in it. Like imagine if a corporation as powerful as McDonald's was a chain of brothels. Yeah. All your daughters would want to go work there. Because they'd have enough money to fucking do propaganda and to make it, and it would just be
and make it look cool. Well, that's what everyone's kind of arguing with that Cat House show on HBO. They're like, it was essentially because girls would come from across the country to work there because it looked so awesome on the show.
Yeah.
And then they'd get there and be like, this sucks. What the fuck? It's nothing like the show.
How you do it is you make an app. The girls join the app for free. Okay? Or maybe they have to pay some kind of a percentage. The customers come in, they have to be vetted. They got to do ID, this and that. They arrange a date. The money's paid up front. Fucking everybody gets their cut. And the people running the application knows who it is that is going to see that girl. So if anything happens to her, they got his ass. So she doesn't need security like they used to. You can do that through apps. You had to make it kind of like Uber, but you have to.
I mean, there's a lot of abuse on Uber too.
Now the dudes that go through the app,
a lot of sexual.
They're gonna have to have ratings, so the girls that have worked with him can leave fucking ratings behind him. Go, no, this dude he don't pay, or oh he's an asshole. You know what I mean? So you don't have to work with him if you don't want to.
Yeah. And
then the girls are doing other jobs, or if they're real popular, because you don't want these girls living in brothels. It's not a good environment.
Well, like I said, they're essentially keeping them trapped there.
Yeah.
Like they were not allowed to leave. Like everything was locked up. You had to be buzzed in and out, and they would not let you leave.
Yeah, if it was an app, it would just be more like a dating app, basically. It's a dating app. Guys pay up front. Everybody knows who everybody is. They're all identified. You check in and check out at the meeting and after the fucking date. They get the GPS data, so you can't murder that girl and get away with it. That's all you got. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
That way you don't have brothels, because brothels are about security. That's all it is, to keep the girls safe. But then they use them up.
Yeah.
You can't have them on the streets because that looks bad, and that's not secure.
Well, yeah, that's really not safe.
That's really not secure. Yeah. So how you would do it today is do apps, GPS locations.
I mean, there's definitely a way to do it that's much safer. It's never going to be 100% safe, but nothing is.
Yeah, and there's no pimps. The girl does it her own.
We need to cut out that.
The girl does it on her own. She either works or she doesn't. She doesn't want to work, she doesn't want to work.
A lot of the shit about the Bunny Ranch was that the dude that owned it, one, was taking 50% of all of their shit.
Yeah.
Even tips and stuff.
And then he was fucking them.
And a new one would come in and it's like, well, you have to have sex with me.
Yeah, as a tryout.
And he doesn't, and he would do it like all the time, but he's not paying them.
He wouldn't pay. He'd just go back, he'd fuck them all.
So you have to have sex with your boss like all the time and not get paid for it.
I can understand having sex with her as an audition. But if you wanted to have sex with her again, you had to pay her.
Yeah, I mean, that's an employee.
Yeah. I don't have any problem with the dude running the place having sex with those girls, but he's got to pay him the fucking going rate.
And if they don't want to do it,
if they want to do it, then
if they don't want to do it,
yeah, because you're a customer.
Yeah.
When you at that point, you're her boss, but you're also being a customer.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I said, there would have to be rules. It would have to be regulated.
Right.
Like I said, because it's going to happen regardless.
Right.
And you know, like I said, it's never going to be made 100% safe. There's always going to be shit that gets through the cracks.
With the app, the girl could become her own agent, and she has a measure of security because they know where she is. She knows who's going. They know who's coming to see her, and it's low profile. It's not out in public, so it doesn't look bad. Like South America, Brazil, go to certain parts of towns, girls basically nude standing on the side of the street, you know, in stockings and shit. Walking around by themselves.
Yeah.
Dangerous as fuck.
Yeah, like I said, I wouldn't do that here.
Yeah. They're doing it in dark. Yeah. Dark
I wouldn't do it anywhere in the United States.
Go down into a park and all the lights are out in the park and just fucking basically naked girls walking around. Don't even see a man anywhere.
Yeah. Like I said, it's anywhere in the world, it's a very, very dangerous profession.
You're like, damn, she doesn't have a pimp looking out for her. Yeah. He just sent her down there. And she probably didn't have a pimp.
And honestly, most of the pimps beat the shit out of them, too. So it's like...
So I think some of the ones in Brazil, I don't think they had pimps in Brazil. Some of them. They did, but I don't think most of them didn't have them. They were all independent agents. They just... Some girl needed to make some money. She'd go down there, walk around naked. Dangerous as shit.
Yeah. Yeah, Granther says, Dennis Hoff is on a low tier in hell now. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Hoff, he's a shitbag. Yeah,
that dude is a shitbag.
Shitbag.
He got murdered. That's not...
Well, a dude...
We haven't seen that episode yet. But I know he got murdered.
A dude that goes out of his way to get into that business has women issues, I would think.
Big time. That's what everybody that worked there that they interviewed for the show
said. And I'm watching, I'm going like, he's got into this business and he doesn't know anything about women. He's not good with women.
No.
He's not even friends with them. You know what I mean? It's what the fuck? They don't really
he just treats them like commodities.
Yeah.
Like he's just like, hey, I own all of you, so I can just do whatever I want to you whenever I want.
That was his fantasy.
Yeah. And he's gross. He's like a big, fat, sweaty, red.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Very, very unprofessional.
Yeah.
I would think if you had those brothels, you'd be a professional. He was unprofessional.
Grandmother said he stroked out a few years ago. I thought he got murdered. Maybe I was thinking of. There was actually a girl that did work there that got murdered in Oklahoma, but it was not related because they did an episode about that. All right, so where was I? Okay, so as I said, the cops did start in Ecuador, in this area of Ecuador that Pedro Lopez was in. Did start to notice that there was an alarming increase in missing girls. Like I said, generally between 8 and 12 years old was what he liked. That was his victim profile. But they just figured, they were getting kidnapped and like sold into sex slavery, which was, you know, that was just something that happened quite a bit, and it probably still does. Now, so now there were a couple of cases that they knew the girls' names and they knew what happened and everything like that. So one of these happened in May of 1979. And this was a little girl named Hortensia Lozada. And this was in Ambato. And she worked at a stall in a market selling newspapers. And he approached her and gave her some money to come with him. And she did. I mean, she was just a little kid, you know what I mean? And he raped her and killed her under a bridge nearby.
How did he kill her?
And I think they were mostly strangled.
Strangulation.
Which, that's a very serial killer thing.
Yeah.
Raping and strangling. They like it because it's personal. And he later said that he got off on watching the life, like, wink out of their eyes. Yeah. It's like, he's like, that's why I never killed them at night. Like, I always killed them in the daytime because I wanted to see the life, like, extinguished. I'm paraphrasing, but he said something like that.
I wanted to see the life go out of him.
Yeah.
I've seen it happen.
Like he got that. He got off on that.
I've watched dudes die from accidents, fucking car wrecks, and talking to them, just looking at him, just, you see it go. But the thing is that they're not actually dead. They lose consciousness totally.
Yeah.
Then they're dead about a minute or so after that, but it looks like they die.
Yeah, because it just unfocuses.
Yeah, just kind of like they vanish. You can tell that you're not really in the presence, but it's deep unconsciousness.
Yeah, that's your brain's way of being like, yeah, we're checking out. Bye.
Yeah, but you're alive for a couple minutes and then you're dead after that.
So this one little girl that he raped and killed, that was May 1979. A few months later, in December of 1979, like I said, he might have killed some people in between there, but this is just ones that they know about, like, know their names and stuff. He was in El Espinal, which is where his mom lived, and he raped and murdered another girl named Flor Sanchez. And then there were two other murders of little girls. One later that month, December 1979, and then one like a week or two later, like in January of 1980. They did find both of these girls, like almost a month later, buried in shallow graves. 2 girls they found, and the 2 of them had signs of torture. Now, Flor Sanchez was actually the only Colombian victim for which he was tried, even though he likely killed like many more than that. Now, there were a bunch of other cases that he was suspected in because of the MO and, just the fact that he was there and things of that nature. However, there was a fire at the courthouse in El Espinal and, like, a lot of the paperwork was burned. So, that's why there's not, like, a super lot of information about, like, some of the victims and stuff. Now, about a week after he killed Flor Sanchez, he abducted another girl named Ivanova Yakome, and he got her from a parking lot when she was going to school. And he raped her and murdered her in a shack. Like, he took her to this little shack that he knew of.
How old was she again?
These ones, I'm not sure how old this one was, but they were all between 8 and 12. So, around that age.
Motherfucker's low.
Yeah. They're little girls.
Yeah.
They're little girls.
He got power issues.
Yeah.
He can't feel like a man next to an adult woman. He can only dominate these little girls. Little softies and shit.
Yeah, that's how pedos do.
Yeah.
Can't deal with, they can't deal with, like, an actual woman. Like an actual person. Like I said. Get a fucking sex doll and leave the world alone. But yeah, they actually didn't find her body until, like, more than a month later. Now, where they found her body, this place called Plaza Urbina. And it was kind of a street market type situation. And as I mentioned earlier, like, he really liked to go to the markets, and he would go visit the stalls that, like, had little girls, like, running them or working at them. And he would try to give them stuff, like, to get them to come with him. Like, he would give them some coins or candy or little gifts, shit like that. Try to talk them into coming with him, you know what I mean? Or he would say that, oh, I'm a tourist, or I'm new here, like, can you show me where this is, or give me directions, or something like that. Like, anything to get them to, like, come with him, right? Now, the thing about it, though, is that he's not the brightest bulb, I guess, because he was in this market, like, so frequently that people started to, like, recognize him, because he's kind of distinctive looking. He's pretty tall, and he had kind of a big nose, and he didn't have any teeth in the front. And he had a big scar, like, on the right side of his face. So people started to, like, recognize him as, like, being around the market, and he's like, man, he's, like, always talking to little girls. That's fucking weird, you know what I mean? Yeah. Now, in early 1980, right around the time that he, you know, killed at least 2 or 3 other little girls, there were 2 vendors at this market. And one of them was a florist named Luz Marina Lozada. And the other one, like, sold drinks and stuff, named Marina Cuenca. Cuenca? Cuenca. Not really sure. There's not a little soft thing under the C, so I'm assuming that's a hard C. Now, he came up and, like, offered them money to go places with them, but they said no. And they started kind of telling other merchants, like, man, this dude's, like, coming over here trying to give us money, like, trying to get us to go places. And they thought that he was a child trafficker, you know, which, like I said, was a legitimate concern in the area. It did happen. So they were like, we think he's trying to, like, take little girls, you know what I mean? But it's like, you know, they tried to give us money, and they said, yeah, no, fuck off, you know? Now, in March of 1980, he tried to kidnap a 9-year-old girl named Carmen Lozada, who I'm assuming is related to the other Lozada. But she screamed her head off, good for her. And a bunch of other people in the market kind of came to like, what the fuck? And he ran off. Now, she actually identified him that said, hey, that's the same guy that tried to give my sister money, like, for going with him. Now, so at this point, there was there was a woman named Carolina Poveda, and she was the president of the merchant board. And so she starts trying to go around to, like, the other merchants being like, man, I think this dude is, like, bad news. Or, I mean, they knew about, like, all the missing girls and stuff. They're like, I think this might be him. Or at very least, he's, like, a child sex trafficker, right? So it's like, we need to look out for this guy. Now, at that point, like, I think a lot of the other merchants thought that she was being alarmist, or they didn't really believe her. Cause like, yeah, we've heard about all that. You're just being paranoid, blah, blah, blah. Now, she's like, I think this motherfucker's up to something. So she followed him. And when she followed him, and then she saw him talking to another 9-year-old girl. And he overheard her saying, oh, I'm new here, and I don't know where I am. And it's like, hey, I'll give you money if you show me around. And the girl said, okay. So this woman is like, oh, fuck no, not on my watch. And she got in the middle of him. Because he was taking the girl away, like, to this little, like, secluded area. And this woman, Hero, she started fucking yelling her ass off. He's gonna sell her. You know what I mean? And, like, and threw herself on him. And I was like, badass. Like, she was just like, oh, fuck no. So she threw herself on the dude. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I wasn't doing anything. And you're crazy. All this other kind of shit. Now, she just kept on. And she said, look, he tried to lure, like, 2 other girls away that I know of. This dude's at least a pedo or a child trafficker or something like that. And so eventually, like, all the other merchants in the plaza were like, okay, maybe she's onto something. And so they took him, they grabbed him, and, like, started dragging him back to the plaza, like, kind of punching on him and stuff. So they basically said, we're going to take him to the cops. So they did. They took him to the police station. However, the cops, again, did fuck all. Even though, like I said, that woman's a hero. Like, she probably saved that little girl. I mean, not probably. She did save that little girl because he was taking her.
Yeah.
And that woman just jumped on and was like, oh, no, you're not. Oh, no, you don't.
Well, she had good instincts.
Yeah.
She knew
she was like, this
up.
dude's a fucking pedo. Like, she knew.
Yeah.
And she just started screaming her head off.
Yeah,
and, like, and getting everybody else, like, on her side, you know?
Yeah. She rallied everybody.
Yeah. So I was like, man, good for her.
Women are good at rallying, bro. That's bad, motherfucker. Get him, get him.
We know.
Yeah.
You know, we know when someone's a fucking creeper.
Yeah.
You know what's hilarious?
Saved a girl's life.
Yeah. She totally did save that girl's life.
Yeah.
You know what's kind of funny? I was on Reddit, like, the other day. And I think the question was, what's something that women would immediately understand that men might not understand. And the most common thing was that, you know, when you're in a bar and like this other woman like comes up to you and is like, hey, how have you been? Like, I haven't seen you in such a long time, and you don't know that person. That's like, that woman is trying to save you from like this creepy ass dude that you're with. And it's like, and every chick was like, yep, how'd that happen? You know what I mean? Yeah. We all understood immediately. Like, I read that and I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah. You're in danger.
Yeah. You in danger, girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or also, well, I think, I don't know how widespread this is, but if you're in a bar, this might help you someday, I'm not really sure. If you're in a bar, evidently, if some creeper is bothering you, you can go to the bartender and ask for an angel shot, and they will help you get out of the bar and maybe bounce the dude or whatever. You know what I mean? I don't know how widespread that is, but, you know, that might save your life someday, so I'm just saying. Like I said, I think it's pretty common knowledge, but I don't know. So they took him to the police station. These people, they knew. They're like, what the fuck? This isn't right. They took him to the police station, and the police did nothing. They just let him go. Even though they knew that there was a bunch of missing girls in the area. And, you know, somebody was doing it, obviously. But it's like, you know, could it be this guy? Yes, it was. But, like, they didn't do anything about it. A little while later, though, in April of that year, I believe it was, there was a bunch of flash flooding. And this flooding unearthed 4 more bodies of little girls that had been missing. And these girls, when they were examined, obviously had not drowned. They had been strangled. And at this point, the police were like, oh, fuck me. My bad. Probably should have kept that dude in custody. You know what I mean? So they actually reopened the investigations, and eventually, you know, that I think that the fact that them finding all these bodies finally made them take it seriously, I guess. Now, a few days after the flood, Pedro Lopez, who apparently was not deterred at all by all these bodies being found, I don't know if he actually heard about it, because it was only a few days later. He actually tried to kidnap another girl, a 12-year-old, Marina Poveda. She was working at a different market, or at a different stall, like at the same plaza. And he started, like, kind of flirting with her and offering her money. Again, like the whole, I'm new here, show me around the city, blah, blah, blah. But she was just like, no, I'm not going. And then she told her mom about it. And the mom recognized him, is like, hey, you're that motherfucker that was here before. So she legit, like, went off. Like, she started wailing on him. Like, she started screaming and, like, getting everybody on and grabbing him and shit like that. She's like, hey, this guy tried to kidnap my daughter. And he's the one that murdered all those girls. So at that point, like, all the merchants kind of, like, converged on him and were able to hold him there until the cops came and took him. Now, so like I said, these merchant owners, yeah, don't fuck with them. And don't fuck with moms either. Like, don't try to... And he tries to kidnap these girls in front of everybody. This is like a busy market. There's, like, market stalls. There's people, like, buying shit. There's people everywhere. And it's the middle of the day. It's not like he's sneaking around. You know, maybe he thinks he's, like, hiding in plain sight or something like that. But, like, everybody recognizes him. He's pretty distinctive looking. So, you know, he kept doing that for a while. And, like, everyone, you know, started catching on to his fucking game. You know what I mean? So they all fucking piled on him when the time came. So they finally arrest this twat. And, when they first arrested him, he wouldn't talk. He wouldn't say anything. But after a little while, he eventually started confessing. What ended up happening was they had a very smart police captain whose name was Pastor Gudino. And he actually pretended that he was another prisoner. I think he also pretended he was a Catholic priest, that he was in prison for, like, molesting boys or something like that. And he pretended he was another inmate and was, like, his roommate. See if he can get him to talk. And he actually stayed in a cell with this jackhole for almost a month, like trying to get him to talk. And eventually, he kind of earned the dude's trust, right? So Pedro starts saying, like, bragging about all the murders he's committed. I murdered at least 100 people in Colombia, at least 110 people in Ecuador, and a whole bunch in Peru. And he said, yeah, I just go to, like, markets or whatever, and I lure them away with candy or, money, something like that. And then I rape them and strangle them. And then he said, he told the undercover cop this. He's like, then I hug their corpses. He calls them dollies. And he just, like, hugs them for a little while until their bodies get cold. And then he leaves them there. And then he comes back later and, kind of buries them in shallow graves. He also said, this is some Green River Killer shit right here. He also said that he would come, well, it's a little weirder than that, but he said he would come back to the sites later sometimes and dig them up. They were just right under the surface of the dirt, right? He would dig them up and have tea parties with the bodies.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Weird. He's bullshitting. He'd had sex with them.
Oh, I'm sure he did.
That's what he's doing.
I don't know what kind of tea parties this motherfucker goes to, but I'm sure it involves necrophilia.
He's having sex with them because it's free. He doesn't have to kill another one, and he can do it again. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, that's some Green River Killer shit. Because he's like, well, why? I already killed them, so I might as well.
It's free.
Might as well enjoy them even more. It's, I just feel like I need a shower saying that, but it's so fucking nasty. So fucking nasty. So they're asking, well, why? Why? Why are you doing this? It's like, why did you kill like 300 little girls? You know what I mean? And he supposedly said, I lost my innocence at the age of 8. That was the age that his mom either kicked him out or he ran away and he was homeless. So I decided to do the same to as many girls as I could, because that makes complete and total fucking sense, doesn't it? But he was interviewed later, like not long before he was released. And he said, basically, he did admit that he just killed people because he got off on it. Like, just sexual pleasure. And they asked him, this is so gross, you guys. They asked him, well, why little girls? And he says, it's like eating chicken. Why have old chicken when you can have young chicken?
Yeah.
Ugh. You're disgusting, dude. I hope people did have you eaten by fire ants. I don't know if that really happened to him, but it's just kind of like, I hope that's how they killed him. I hope it was slow. So yeah. And like I said, I mentioned this before, but he was really into watching the life drain out of them, like while they were strangling. Like he would look in their eyes. That's why he wouldn't do it after dark. He always did in the daytime, because he wanted to see. He thought it was like super exciting. He also called it a divine moment when their life winked out. Which, yeah, this dude's messed up.
That girl Ray got back to me. She says we need to do interviews with people, and I came back and says no. What we need to do is we need to have a YouTube channel for the fucking clubs. We're gonna put her in charge of it. We can do the video editing and stuff, and she can take the videos because we don't have the fucking phones.
Yeah,
that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have a channel.
We probably should.
For Memento Mori and Abyss.
It's actually dumb that we didn't do this.
It's stupid for not doing it.
But I didn't have time.
And her little baby back friends will be the social media face for that channel.
That'd probably be good. Because honestly, it's like video editing takes a while, but it's like if she and her friends could shoot the stuff,
yeah, it'd be real quick,
and send it to me.
Just put an intro and an outro or some shit like that.
Then it wouldn't really take that.
Yeah, long. We'll all have a password to the channel.
Yeah, that's what you could just post stuff on there. Right. Even if we film stuff, we could post it on there.
Yeah, we're always partying. It's easier to have some chick come and fucking...
I don't even take my phone. I know this is weird. Yeah, we don't even take
our phone.
This is weird to, like, you youngsters out there.
Yeah, she's a youngster. She has her phone.
I don't even take my phone into the club. I leave it in the trunk.
Right.
Because, like, I'm there to drink and dance and talk to people. I don't really want to just sit on my phone. I know a lot of people do. I'm not judging.
Yeah.
If I'm bored, I'm on my phone, too. But like I said, when I'm out, I look at a screen all week. You know what I mean? I don't want to look at a screen all week.
And then we'll take that channel and post it to all the social media stuff that we do and everything, and we'll use that channel as promotion for the fucking club. That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
I have decided.
He's doing club stuff while we're trying to do.
I'm multimedia.
He's multitasking.
So a new chick joined the scene. She's cute as hell. She's been on some of the flyers before. She's probably young enough to be our daughters. She's probably 23, 24, and cute Spanish accent, and does good photos.
She was on the last Abyss flyer at Dimitri's request. It was a cool ass picture.
She does her own little photo shoots, and she wants to be so bad on the team.
Tom's on the new one.
Yeah, what's that?
Tom's on the new one.
On the new flyer. I'm on the new flyer.
Dimitri asked me.
Yeah. Dimitri saw her post. I posted a photo.
Yeah, I didn't post it like you posted.
I posted an old photo,
like an old picture.
Yeah, and everybody started hitting that up. Go, God damn, it's you. He's like, yeah, it was only from 15 years ago, but I had blonde hair.
Yeah,
and
he wasn't jacked.
I wasn't jacked, and I was
in this fucking cool coat. On. It's a cool picture.
And I looked.
And Dimitri was like, "Please put this on the next Abyss flyer." I was like, "I'll see what I can do."
And somebody says, "Man, you look just like fucking Nick Rhodes from Duran Duran."
You did look a lot like Nick
Rhodes. And a dude from another band, he goes, "Dude, I thought that was a photo of Nick Rhodes."
You did look just like Nick Rhodes in that photo.
Yeah. You wouldn't, looking at me now, you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
But she asked Dimitri, "Is that a real dude?" Because she thought it was. Yeah. I guess she thought it was AI. She goes, "Oh, 100%.
The background is AI." Yeah. But I uploaded the photo and I said change. The background, because it was just in front of a bookcase or something.
He showed me the conversation. He goes, "Oh, 100%. It's Tom Ross. You know him. That was before he shaved his head and got jacked
and grew
a beard." And then she goes, "Oh, I never would have recognized him."
Yeah, you look like a lot different. Like you can still, if you look at your face, you can still see that it's you, but you look a lot different.
Yeah, I shaved the beard. I put if I had a bunch of blonde hair on and that hair, I still kind of look like that.
Yeah, I
haven't degenerated that much.
No. I didn't say that. I just said because you shaved your head and your hair's not the same.
Yeah.
You have facial hair. You're a lot more jacked than you were then.
Yeah, I look like an action hero star. I should be up there with Batista and shit.
Whereas like back then, like I said, you look more like Nick Rhodes.
Like Nick Rhodes, like the lost member of Duran Duran.
Yeah, like more vampiric,
Yeah.
I actually use. I don't know if I'll ask, but for the sidetrack show, I actually used that picture that I made for on the sidetracks.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. Okay, because I was like, I made it, so I might as well.
Yeah, you want.
Like I said, the background is AI, but the picture, I changed the lighting. Like I made it bluish.
Okay.
But you know what I mean? Because I just wanted it to be look all consistent, like you were actually in that environment.
Yeah.
But that's what the picture looked like, the original picture. All right, so this fucking dude. Yeah, Smokeside said I actually gagged at that sentence. I'm assuming he means the old chicken versus new chicken. Yeah. That's Look, I can see that this dude, if what he said is true about his childhood, yes, that's horrible. It's horrible. He was homeless when he was 8 years old. He was running around with a gang of kids. He was repeatedly raped. Shit like that. Like, that's horrible. That shouldn't happen to anybody. But that doesn't excuse you taking your revenge on, which, like I said, I don't think, like I said, later on he did admit that it's like he just got off on it. I think he was just trying to make it seem like, oh, society owes me, so I'm going to take it out on little girls who had nothing to do with anything. Like, yeah, that makes total sense. So the cops initially, when he said all this stuff at first, they didn't know. They're like, look, man, he's claimed to have killed a lot of people. Like, how much of this can we take seriously? So Pedro, very magnanimously, said, I'll take you to where I buried some of the victims, he said. So they're like, okay. So he took the cops around to all these different sites. Now, ultimately, out of this little road trip that they had, they found 53 girls. And those were just the ones that he remember and led them to. He led them to a couple other sites that he said, oh, I buried somebody here and there was nobody there. But the cops said, I don't think that's because he was just making it up. I think that's because animals got them or he didn't remember it right or something like that. Because 53 of the places he took them to absolutely had bodies there. And some of them had multiple bodies because he was using the same hole. You know what I mean? So he wasn't bullshitting. He did actually kill a lot of little girls, and he remembered where a lot of them were. That's how he proved it to them, by taking them to all these sites. And at the vast majority of the sites, yes, there were bodies there. At least one, and sometimes several. A lot of them were kind of in the forest and shit like that. So it was from this where they were just kind of like, yeah. So him killing 110 people just in Ecuador, totally doable. Because we found 53, right? And it's like in some of the other sites, a lot of those girls, like I said, might have gotten eaten by animals or scattered by animals. They couldn't find them later or something like that. So it's like, so not crazy. And the fact that he was doing this in Ecuador, and he had also traveled to Colombia and Peru for an approximately same amount of time, they're like, yeah, if he killed about the same amount of people per week as he was doing here, yeah, 300 totally. That's totally plausible. So yeah. So what they did, now they didn't charge him, because I think he confessed to like 350. Now, like I said, a lot of those were not in Ecuador. They were in Colombia or Peru. Although about 110 of them, like I said, were in Ecuador. So basically they're like, well, we're just going to charge you with the shit that happened in Ecuador because, it'd be too expensive to do all the extradition and all the other bullshit. So they didn't want to have additional trials like in other countries. So we're just going to charge him with shit that we can prove here. So his trial starts in 1980. And he was initially charged with 57 counts of murder. Now in 1981, early 1981, he was ultimately only convicted of 3 of the murders. Because I guess that's what... Because honestly, sadly, like I said, a lot of the victims, they found a lot of bodies. But I think only 17, 18 of them were actually identified. Like, a lot of them they couldn't identify. Because, like I said, he targeted a lot of, like, street children and stuff like that. Because he knew he'd get away with it. And also indigenous girls, because he knew that no one would care, sadly. Now, this right here is pretty fucked up. So he only got, 3 murders out of, the purported 350 that he had probably committed. But honestly, I don't doubt it, considering how fucking prolific the dude was. He got a sentence. His sentence was 16 years. Why only 16 years, you might be asking? Because in Ecuador, at the time, this is 1981, that was the maximum prison sentence for anything. There actually was no death penalty in Ecuador at the time. And there was actually no difference in sentencing between somebody who killed 1 person and somebody who killed 100 people. 16 years, that was all you could get. Which, like I said, most countries are not like that. And the United States, most of Europe, like most of the West, they don't have a maximum, so it's just kind of like, look, they just keep piling life sentences on you. Like, the more people, like 6 life sentences, one after the other, meaning you'll never get out.
Right. What country was this again?
Ecuador.
Yeah, Ecuador had not been tested yet.
That's weird because I was curious because I was like, well, is that still the law in Ecuador?
Probably not.
Well, I looked it up. I think, and please correct me if I'm wrong. The source could be wrong, but I found a site that had the maximum prison sentence for anything, just of all countries.
Yeah.
And Ecuador is apparently now 35 years. That's the maximum.
Is it?
But the weird thing is that most countries have no limit. It's none. But weirdly, most of the ones that did have a limit were in Central and South America.
Now, did they have
even
the
though
death
they have
penalty?
Like super high crime down there?
Did they have? Yeah.
Ecuador did not have the death penalty at this time. I don't know about now.
South America,
but 16 years was the maximum for anything.
Central and South America have very airy-fairy concepts when it comes to governments. Their governments are not really in charge a lot of times. It's cartels own the government. The real government are these cartels because of that. You know what I mean? And it's because those governments were not really seen as like legitimate anyway from the people. because of the histories of those countries. So like, well, let's not empower that because that particular system's full of shit. Let's empower the cartels. They actually get shit done, you know. But it kind of gives a lot of the Central and South American countries kind of these split personalities.
Yeah.
You know, I lived there. I grew up there. It's just, it's different. In Germanic countries like the United States and Europe, even the Spanish or Hispanic countries in Europe, a rule is a rule is a rule. Whatever the law says, that's it. In a lot of the South American countries, that's a rule, but let's not really do that. You know what I'm saying?
Let's not do that.
It's a law. But
I've heard that from other people that were from there or that lived there for a long time.
Yeah.
So I've heard the same thing.
It's called jeitinho, which means the little way. We have these little ways.
Yeah.
You know,
like everything is like, well, technically that's illegal.
It's supposed to be this, but we know
technically bribery is illegal, but everybody does it.
Everybody does it, and this is, you know, and here, how much is this going to cost to get rid of this problem?
Right.
So it's a culture of bribery.
Yeah, I've heard that. That is actually probably one of the most common things that I've heard.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's part of the culture.
Yeah, that it's just kind of like that's just.
That and mistresses. It's all just
that's
part of the fucking culture. So really...
Even though technically it's not legal, but everybody does it anyway.
So there's no solid, like, okay, there's no solid anything. Everything is kind of...
nebulous.
Nebulous and kind of lefty, really. They're kind of very lefty and liberal.
Although I'm lefty and liberal, and I'm not like that.
But you're Germanic.
You're
Germanic, though.
Morals and standards.
in a lot of Central and South America, the right wing is those cartels. That's their right wing. And they're conservative. And they're fucking, in a way, they're conservative. They're very traditional. Cutting people's heads off is a fucking tradition going back to the Aztecs, the Mayans. And they're you know, they're like, yeah, you're an enemy, so we'll fucking cut your heart out. You know, fucking, we're going to sacrifice you to the god and replay the blood debt. So in a way, that's their right wing. And they're about, let's make money. We're not going to share. Fuck socialism. We made this money. You know, this is our drug money.
That's kind of like...
It's about power.
That's kind of like the right wing here, too.
No.
Yeah, it is.
That's not drug money. Not drug. Drug money is drug money is drug money. The left is doing that, too.
I'm just saying. But it's just kind of like...
power.
I don't know. I've just heard that it's just a different... I'm not saying it's wrong, necessarily. It's just that I've heard... that they're a lot more, let's put it in a nice way, flexible.
Yeah, no, it's wrong. It's wrong. And when I lived in Brazil, a lot of the Brazilians knew that. It's just that they lived in a world of chaos.
Yeah.
There's nothing that
I've heard that is sort of very...
And it blends, and it drifts into other parts of their culture. Like, it's very difficult to do science in Brazil. They don't have space programs and shit like that. Because, hey, you know...
Because everything's kind of ambiguous.
Yeah.
Which, like I said, sometimes that's good.
Yeah.
But in science, not so much.
Right. You can say, no, that's not enough energy, or the fucking explosive bolts will not fucking blow fast enough. What are you talking about? The math says you can't. But it's just, you know, hey.
You can't half-ass stuff.
It's all right.
You can't.
That's close enough. No, it's not close. The rocket falls apart.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like
that's why there are some things you can half-ass and some things you can't.
Right.
Like some things don't matter,
and some things
and
do.
Some things do matter. Right. Like some things you have to get them right, or it's not going to work out.
Well, in Brazil they had a fucking a saying called "Se Deus quiser," means God willing. Well, that's the same thing Muslims say, God willing.
Jesus take the wheel.
Jesus take the wheel. that goes back to fucking jihadis closing their eyes with an AK-47 and just letting a full auto burst go, and they're just doing like that. And if God is with them, then it'll hit all the enemies.
But if they die,
it doesn't.
No.
Yeah, I guess God didn't will it, because then. So
that is such a bullshit. I've always thought that was such a bullshit. Oh, thank you very much, Burley Kev. What
did he say?
Super chat. Said sup. Hey, just arrived.
Super chat. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Finally got a super chat tonight.
Oh,
finally.
Someone's being salty.
I'm being salty.
No, I'm just saying. It's fine. Like I said,
but no, the South and Central America is fucking wonderful. I loved it.
Yeah, a lot of people do like that.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is that I started reading a lot about Brazil and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I'm super into Nick Cave, right?
Yeah.
And he lived in Brazil.
Yeah.
He lived in Sao Paulo for a long time.
Yeah, I love it.
And he was married to a Brazilian woman for quite a while.
Yeah.
He fucking loved it.
Yeah,
there.
it's fun.
But he said it's complete chaos, but he was into that?
Yeah. Do not expect any kind of order. But they're very friendly, very fucking simpatico. If you make friends in Brazil, you have them for life. All the Brazilian dudes I grew up, and the girls that I grew up with in Brazil, they're all on my Facebook. Still friends. And half of them are here in Florida now. Because this is the sad thing about Brazil. It's a beautiful fucking country. It has so much potential. It's another version of the United States of America.
It's not really that different.
It's not really that different.
I get where they're coming from.
Right.
Like, I'm not like that, but I get where they're coming from.
The problem is that they're very demoralized from this chaos and not being able to trust shit. Okay?
Yeah, that would wear you down.
It's been wearing them down for generations. The greatest thing a Brazilian can do in his or her life is to move to America. And that's a big problem. Because that's a huge brain drain on Brazil. They're not staying.
Yeah.
And improving because they go, well, it's hopeless. You can't improve this.
Well, yeah.
There's no.
You can't blame people.
Yeah.
I mean, if a country gets shitty enough that all the smart people are like, yeah, I'm out.
Yeah, it's time for us to go. So
then, like, that's you're not going to last long without smart people. Sorry.
And Brazilians are Western. They fit right in. They have the same cultural background. They're very American. They do very well when they get here. They get snapped up by the opposite sex damn near immediately because they're sexy as shit.
Well, like I said, the cultures are not really as different as you might think they are.
They do very well here. The dudes have a natural way with women, and the women are just fucking the ones that make it here. Let's just say I grew up with them. When they go, if they can make it here, then there's something to them. You got losers in every country, but the winners make it out, and they're fucking unstoppable here. There's a whole Brazilian community here in Florida. Got their own markets and everything. Yeah. But they all marry Americans. They integrate instantly because they make good Americans.
Well, like I said, it's not really that. The culture is not that different. I don't think.
Now I'm going to say this too. Fucking the upper half of fucking Mexicans the same way. Mexicans make great Americans. When I was in the Army, fucking most of my buddies were Mexican Americans, and they were only like maybe second or third generation. They make great Americans.
Yeah, like I said.
There's no difference.
Central and South America is not as different.
They're all Americans. It's
North
just
America,
a different...
as some people seem to think.
Yeah, they're not an alien culture. They're Western.
It's really not that different.
They're very Western, and they're almost, in some Brazilians are almost more American than Americans. It's like, dude, tone that American down. Because the Britons complain, they're so loud, they're so not... You haven't been to fucking Brazil. We seem
They're
British.
louder than we are.
We seem
And Americans
British.
are very loud. I mean, I'm not loud, but like a lot of Americans
We
are
seem
loud.
British and reserved compared to Brazilians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're very boisterous.
Yeah. And they're all fucking
I do agree,
oversexed, bro.
I am an American. I agree that Americans are very loud. Yeah. Like I said, I'm not loud. Yeah. But a lot of Americans are loud, so I do understand why people have that impression.
Yeah, especially if they come from large families. They're constantly yelling. They yelling over the crowd.
Which see that kind of shit stresses me out.
Yeah.
And I'm from Florida, dude. I'm like I was born here and everything. I'm several generations American.
Yeah.
I don't even know when my family came here, but Americans are too loud for me.
But
I don't like it either.
Having done time and growing up in Brazil and being all over South America. I know that some of you may be listening to me recorded. Some of you are still in Central and South America. Some people are some people are from Central American families who've been here for several generations. Anybody who is a good person from those countries fucking do well here and are welcomed. As long as fucking we know who you are. When I moved in Brazil, they had to know who I was. I went through the whole fucking process. I had a fucking work visa and everything. You can't let random motherfuckers just come in because chances are in that group there's going to be a bunch of fucking criminals and people running from charges in the countries that they come from. You have to know who's in your fucking country. You got pedos and sex offenders and cartel dudes.
We got plenty of those here. We don't,
We don't need any more of those. So that's why people say, well, the immigration, you can't have a fully open border. You have to know who's coming in.
Well, nobody's advocating for that.
They got some people that try to advocate for that shit. You're fucking ridiculous.
I've never heard anything.
They've got people that don't think there should be a border between Mexico and the United States. If you dissolved the border between Mexico and the United States is not going to become Mexico. Mexico will become the United States because we have enough money and power to dominate the entire Mexican system. That's the same as military annexation. So you're not being friendly you're not being friendly to Mexico if you fucking erase that fucking border. It just becomes America. We would swallow that up. Our banks would swallow that up in a day.
Gramther says, "Why are Brazilian women so histrionic?" And also, do Brazilian women treat American men visitors with special love, asking for a friend?
Yeah. If you're a cool dude and you go to Brazil, oh yeah.
I see.
If you're a cool dude and you go to Brazil, you're young and you're good looking like I was when I lived there at that time. Yeah, as long as you're not abusing the shit and not being a dick, you do so fucking well.
I kind of feel like that's true across the world.
It's just true across the board. It's because they have a similar.
But a lot of dudes have a hard time with that.
They have the same standard of beauty. They have the same thing of foreign exoticism. So if you're foreign, they just think you're exotic as fuck.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, I get that to an extent, because it's like, oh, well, you're not like the motherfuckers.
You're not the random motherfucker. You're from somewhere else.
Ooh, interesting.
They're American, and at that time, British music fucking dominated in Central and South America. They were listening to Duran Duran and AC/DC, which is Australia.
You guys, there is a massive goth scene in Brazil.
Yeah.
They have huge goth festivals and everything.
So if you go hang out in a club fucking of the music you like and the girls that are there and they're liking all this American music, then fucking you're right up their alley. You're like, oh, you're from America? Oh, it's the same thing.
Yeah, they'll love that.
But they would do the same thing for a British guy. Oh, you're from London? Oh, they'd be all over you. Yeah.
Do you like this?
And here's another thing is that they're not. Here's something that a lot of these fucking Anglo types get fucked up about Central and South America. They're not another race. They're white. They're just another ethnic group. They're from the Spanish and Portuguese empires. So some people are like, well, all that interracial shit. They're not another race. Some are. Some of them have a lot of Indian blood. Some have African blood. There are people there that...
And look, if you're that worried about it, ask yourself why you're that
Why are you worried about it? The south of Brazil looks like Germany because a lot of German and Irish immigrants moved there. And I could fit in the south of Brazil. I was in São Paulo, which is... Paulistanos tend to be what's called... They're called morenos, which means brunettes. They're slightly darker skinned. So I stood out. But a lot of them didn't believe that I was American. They just thought I was from the south of Brazil.
Yeah.
And I had to say, no, I'm an American citizen. Like the top hot Instagram Brazilian girls is Vivi Winkler. You can look her up. She's a bodybuilder and a fucking carnival queen. She's gorgeous. She's part German. You could take Vivi and move her here, and nobody would ever think that she was a foreigner, And a lot of South Americans like that. Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay. I've been through all those, and I could move through all those societies and not attract any attention. Ethnically, I looked exactly, and racially, I looked the same as a lot of the people that were there. I just blended in. I'd start speaking, and they would go, wait a minute, hold on. Are you from Brazil? And I was like, yeah, I live in Brazil. Because I was speaking Portuguese. Or I was trying to speak Spanish, but I had a Brazilian accent because I speak Portuguese. And they were like, yeah, I live in Brazil, but I'm actually an American. I'm American. I'm from California. At the time, I had left California. And they just, oh, really? You're here? Oh, okay, yeah. And so you get free shit? Don't worry about it. We got it. It's on the house. And it's just, they're super, super friendly. Now, everything's situational, but in general, South Americans and North Americans get along real well. Really well. It's kind of like, we're kind of like the same people in two different neighborhoods. And I hear things happening, like in the media and the news, talking about these immigration problems, and our problems are not bad because they're mostly come from those areas, and as long as they're good people, they're Westerners, They just come here and they're cool like everybody else,
Honestly, this is a big ass country.
It's a big ass country, yeah.
I'm not worried about it. We've got bigger problems, way bigger problems. So yeah, Smugside says Mexican family raised in the Valley in South Texas, also grew up still surrounded by Mexican community, can confirm Mexicans are very loud. Even our inside voices are loud. I mean, I know it's not like true across the board, but I do understand like why a lot of other countries feel like Americans are loud. But I also feel like Americans are loud. I'm like the opposite of that. I don't like loud people. I don't like conflict. I don't really like... Man, like if I go somewhere, the only place I ever go, literally, because I work at home and I spend a lot of time just in the house. We go out to the club, but that's like safe space. You know what I mean? That's people I know and shit like that. When I go out to like a regular place and people are like talking or like blaring their phones or something like that, it gives me really bad anxiety. You know what I mean? I can't stand being around like people that are super loud. So I understand Europeans and whoever else is complaining about Americans being loud. I also think Americans are very loud. So it's not just you. You know what I mean? I've been here my whole life. So yeah. So I don't know. I was gonna ask. I was interested in what he said about why Brazilian women are histrionic. It is kind of a whole... I don't know. It does seem like kind of a song and dance. He would probably know better than me because I've never been there, but, you know, we'll see. I'll ask him when he comes back because I don't think he answered that question. Unless he did while I was in the bathroom. Let me see. Where did he go? Are you coming back? Did you answer the question of why Brazilian women are so histrionic?
Well, they're not histrionic.
I mean, that's... I kind of feel... Well, here's the thing.
Let me explain.
I kind of feel like dudes in general think women are histrionic when they're just being regular.
Yeah. Latin cultures...
So there's that.
Latin cultures are honor cultures. And they tend to be Catholic. And their thing is not the Germanic thing about logic or reason and fucking exact measurements. They're emotional. Another thing is in Latin cultures is that men are not really the aggressors when it comes to like sexual aggression, like going out and hunting. The women are more aggressive. The dudes are more stoic. I'm too hot to be chasing these chicks.
Yeah, they'll come to me.
Yeah, they'll come to me. I'm so hot.
Which, like I said, I kind of understand that more.
Yeah, they're more like that. Now, going after a woman that you don't know in Brazilian culture, especially in the higher classes, it would be considered beta.
Yeah.
To do that. They're
Simpy.
like, why should I chase women? I'm the prize. That's the thinking. They're very much the peacocks. I have all the money and I have all the power and I'm so handsome.
So they'll come to me.
They'll come to me.
Yeah.
I'll just deal with the ones that come to me. So the women are constantly in I'm attracting you mode.
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
That's why.
And for the North American guy, this is a whole new world. Yeah. So we do real well there.
But like I said, I understand that better, honestly.
Yeah. So you're getting kind of flooded by the girls that already like you.
Yeah.
So you're not dealing with the rejection risk that you would hear.
Yeah.
So now you can also be more sympathetic to the women. They go, oh, these American guys are just so friendly. Because the Brazilian guy probably shut the shit down.
Right.
He'd be like, hey, yeah, you're hot, I like you and everything, but yeah, nah.
Yeah, there's hotter ones.
There's hotter ones than you. So that's exactly the fuck. So they're doing that a lot. You know what I mean? Because I'm the prize. You know. Now, once you're in a relationship with them, they'll use techniques to get you to obey. But a lot of that's because Latin men don't obey. They have mistresses and lovers. They do all kinds of other shit. So that woman has to kind of like up her game to keep that dude and to keep him under control.
And to get him to do what she wants.
And to get him to do what she wants. So that's probably what
it's a whole song and dance.
Yeah. This is all.
Which is, you kind of see that a little bit here, but it's not quite to the same extent, I feel.
And this is very, very Western. It's not South American. Read fucking Shakespeare. When he's talking about what's happening in fucking France or Italy or something like that, in fucking Verona or whatever. It's very Western for that because in the ancient era, the men were the prize. Romeo, Juliet,
and the women
the
had
man
to compete with each other.
The women competed for the men.
For the men.
Yeah. Because they had wealth and power.
Right.
You know? And if you hitch your star to him, then you could become a superstar.
In the West, that generally is not the case anymore. So
not anymore, but...
So you see a different dynamic.
But in the 1500s it was.
Well, yeah.
And Central and South America kind of is still in the 1500s.
Still has that kind of mindset,
Yeah.
So like I said, I can understand where they're coming from with that. But like I said, in most of the Western world, that's not the case anymore and hasn't been for quite a long time. Yeah. So the dynamic.
Well, they're really Western. It's just Northwestern. We're in the English speaking world.
They still have some remnants of that.
The English speaking world is now fucking feminism and this and that.
And it got blurry.
During the time that I was in there in the 80s, evidently my friends tell me that's in Brazil too now. The feminism thing.
Oh, thank God.
But it didn't seem to work though.
It might be too entrenched.
Their cultures are too strong for that. And they were just like, what is all this? Why these women are in Brazil? Dude, Landulfo was telling me they're cutting their hair off and dyeing the shit fucking green, and then they're fucking gaining all this weight, and then they're complaining that we're not dating them. You know, we're sexist if we don't fuck fat chicks. That's how it ended up in Brazil, according to my friends. They were all married though. By that time.
So why are they whining about it then?
No, they just thought that it was odd. They weren't whining. They thought it was odd, you know. And he goes, and they're so communist, you know. So, and there was a communist party. The PT was there when I was there, and it was kind of a joke, but it got into power. It failed, you know, but then now it's back in, and they're just. Here's the thing: they're never what they claim to be in South America. Everything is camouflaged. So if you elect
like here too.
If you elect a communist party, you didn't elect a communist party. You just elected another band of thieves. It's just gonna have the motif of communism, but they're just stealing.
Like I said, that sounds like
there's nothing legitimate to any of that.
Burley Kev says men in general are a straight line, women in general are a zigzag.
Yeah,
that is largely true. Like I said, obviously individuals differ, but men are pretty simple. They're pretty easy to figure out. Women are complicated. Honestly, I don't even understand most of the shit I think most of the time. So asking somebody else to figure that out is kind of like a Herculean task. I get that.
I never dated Brazilian women because I left when I was young. I only dated Brazilian girls, teenagers. But from what I saw, they weren't quantitatively different. They weren't qualitatively different. It was just a different style of femininity. And as long as you're treating them fairly and doing the best by them, I kind of
feel like that's all you can do. Like, just treat people cool. Like, just be cool. Don't be an asshole. Like, that seems really difficult for some people to do, but I mean, I feel like that pretty much works the world over.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. There's a lot.
Just be nice to that person. Be considerate to that person.
Yeah.
Normally, that will work out, unless they're a psycho or something.
Right. In
which case, you don't want to date them anyway.
Some women, depending on whatever culture they come from, kind of have entrenched ideas of the way rituals should go. Like, he should open the door for me, or he should do
right.
And there's little things like that.
Well, there's little things that, you know, I get that, and that's different.
It's cultural differences.
For every culture,
But if you know the woman, you'll know her expectations of what she wants and what she finds pleasant. And if you're a good dude, you'll do that. Okay, I'll open your door when I get up. I'll treat you okay.
Because presumably you care about her and you want to make her happy.
And it's performative. You're doing what you're doing.
Well,
what you're
she's performing.
She's
for you also.
Exactly.
She's looking the way you want her to look. She's doing things you want her to do.
Exactly.
So it's just like a give and take. Exactly. That's kind of like how it works.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
you just have to know what her tastes are and where she's coming from.
Everybody does stuff they don't necessarily want to do. You know, it's not like it's taxing.
If you love that woman, you're gonna fucking have fun doing what she's asking.
That's what I mean.
That's all it is.
Like I said, you know, it's just kind of like you like making the other person happy. That's kind of what a relationship is.
Yeah, if she's saying, "Look, I want you to open the doors for me and this and that, and I want you to put my coat on," this, you go, "Okay, yeah, we can do that," and then that's your new little thing.
Like I said, it's not like she's asking you to do something like super onerous or like she's not asking you to like kill a puppy or anything like that. And if she comes out,
she says, "I don't need you to baby me." I'm like, "Okay, well, we'll do that."
Well, then we'll do that.
That's all it is. Yeah.
That's all. It's not hard.
No.
I don't really understand why people find it hard. If you love that person, just do what they like.
Yeah, what they like.
make them happy. You should want to make them happy. It shouldn't be like work.
Yeah, right.
I don't really
You're
understand
doing what
that.
you want.
Like I said, it's not hard.
Yeah, and you can have fun either way.
Sure.
So it doesn't matter.
I don't know. I don't get it. But
well, some people read into the shit too much.
People make it a lot more complicated.
Some people try to make everything some kind of weird power struggle. And you're not in a power struggle with the people that you're in love with. They just have things that they want done.
Hopefully not. If you are, then that's not
then
love.
Then there's a problem. Right.
That's not love, I don't think.
It's
like if you're constantly trying to like one up that person or like dominate that person or something like that, that's not love.
Yeah.
At all.
There's some chicks I want to do it the traditional way. I want you to do this and that. I want you to take my. I'm princess. You want princess treatment? Okay, we can do the princess treatment.
Yeah. Like I said, as long as she's not asking you to do anything fucking crazy or nothing like that, it's not like it's a huge hardship.
No.
For you to like open a door for somebody or put somebody's coat on or something like that.
Help her take her shoes off.
It's not a big deal. Like chill the fuck out. Mm-hmm. Like I said, women give birth to your fucking babies.
Yeah.
Okay? They push a whole ass person out of their vagina. So shut the fuck up.
Yeah. And
you opening a door is not a big deal.
Yeah, and if you vibing with her, then you should be having fun doing what she wants.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
And honestly, I feel like I don't know, this might be different from your perspective, but I kind of feel like I am one of the most easygoing people on earth.
Yeah, you're almost like a dude. She's easy.
Thanks?
She's very she's easy to she's based on logic. She's very easy to read. And
like
she's not happy. She's not happy about something. She'll just tell me. So okay, well then we'll do it this way.
Yeah, I'm not a real...
She's not evasive.
I'm not a real evasive person. I'm not a real bullshitty, we're going to manipulate, go around, beat around the bushes kind of person.
The main problem comes when a woman wants you to mind read, and she's not one that expects me to be able to read her mind. And, and a lot of women want you... not a lot of women, but I would say half of them expected you to be able to read their minds.
Well, now, I will note that some of the stuff that they want dudes to read their mind about...
should
just
be
shit
known.
Is shit that should just be obvious.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you shouldn't have to read the chick's mind.
That's
you
true.
should just do it.
That's true. Yeah.
Like, oh well, how was I supposed to know she wanted me to take the garbage out? Dude, the garbage has to be taken out. Take it out. Why should she ask you?
Yeah, that's not what I'm talking about.
Just do it.
Yeah, that's obvious. That's not what I'm talking about.
That's just living in a house. Like, take care of your shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's just kind of like, I know. I don't know. It's just kind of like a whole thing. But like I said, I'm pretty like easygoing in that regard.
He's from a Mexican family raised in the valley of South Texas. He grew up still surrounded by Mexican community. Can confirm. Mexicans are very loud. Yeah. Even inside their houses.
Like I said, I'm not. Yeah. Tom is kind of loud.
Yeah.
You're kind of loud.
Central and South Americans are still Americans.
Yeah.
They still have European roots.
A lot of Americans are very loud.
They still have European roots.
I agree.
And fucking everybody on the American continent is a man of action. This was a frontier.
Just a man of action.
It's a man of action. This is a frontier. We are active. We do shit. Okay.
Even if it's just playing video games.
Even if it's just playing video games, we go do some shit.
Which is what most of it is.
And energetic. This is a very energetic fucking continent. Okay. Fucking, we're not gonna sit back to these quiet fucking stoic fucking, what do I want to say, scholars and shit. We were farmers and fucking fighters and fucking inventors and fucking innovators of shit and people that were trying to run from Europe. So it's gonna have a different dynamic. That's just how it is. And Indians, they were wild too. Okay, so, and African Americans that came here, they're American too. They can't go back to Africa. They go back to Africa, they don't like it. Because they're Americans.
Well, shit, man, they got brought here hundreds of years ago.
Yeah, they've been here for fucking generations, man. They don't really have much to do with that shit. What the fuck are they supposed to do?
Yeah. They don't remember that.
Yeah.
That was like a few generations
They don't like the music. They don't like the clothes. They don't like the fucking thinking. They belong here.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, they were brought here against their will, but you can't fucking fault them for that.
Well, they've been here for generations, though. They were born here.
Burley Kev says, guys dream of the lady that thinks like they do. The cool girl.
Yeah.
Tom, you got to keep her.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't consider myself, because I know that, like, cool girl is kind of like a disparaging comment, because sometimes that's a chick that just does whatever dudes want to make it seem like they're
that's not what Jen
cool.
No.
But I'm not like that. Like, I'm not like a dude. I don't think. Well, kind of, maybe.
Yeah.
In some ways. Well, here's the thing. I grew up with a couple brothers. I have a sister too, but I grew up with a couple brothers. They're younger. And I was always, when I was littler, I was into some girly shit. Like, I had a couple dolls and Barbies and stuff. But I liked guy shit. I liked Legos and I like horror movies. I like that kind of shit.
Watch this.
And geek stuff.
You know, you're very dude friendly.
Yeah.
Look, did you like Sarah?
Fuck no.
Okay, Sarah was like very much the average. That's the average chick.
I know. That's why I hated her.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, I had Here's the thing. When I was in school, my friend group was about half and half.
Yeah.
Girls and dudes. Yeah. But the girls I hung out with were like alt chicks. Goths, punks. Yeah. Shit like that. So were the dudes. Yeah. I didn't really hang out with normies. Sorry. But yeah, it just wasn't, I didn't vibe with them. But most of the girls I hung out with were not like that. Yeah. If a girl was like that, I'd be like, nah.
And Sonia was kind of average, kind of like the average chick too, but in different ways. She was still cool. I liked her. But the cattiness and the fucking everything.
Yeah, see, I don't like that.
That's it. That's pretty
I don't like the backstabbing. Yeah, I don't like... Yeah. Like, when I'm friends with a girl... Because I'm friends with a lot of chicks still.
Yeah.
I better be able to tell you some shit and you're not going to, like, fucking stab me in the back. And, like, the chicks that I know would never, ever fucking do
the average will.
I know. That's why I don't hang out with them. That's what. So, like I said, I think that's kind of why I gravitated toward the goth scene, because a lot of the people in there, we have some fucked up people in the scene too, but not that many.
Yeah.
It's a lot less than normie. I can't deal with fucking normie ass.
Disney Megan, average.
That's what I mean.
And she could.
Why do you think I berated you so much about that? I'm like, why are you lowering yourself?
Average.
To like this bullshit.
I want to run through it.
I guess.
But fucking the shoot. But sometimes I'll be on the show and I'll talk about, women are this, and the average woman is this and that, and she'll get mad, but then I got to remind her. I mean, and I start naming names, and I go, that's about average. And she's like, yeah,
she sucks.
But you know.
But I don't like her either, and I'm also.
But I'm not sexist. I can name off average dudes, and they.
I don't like most average dudes
fucking
either.
Suck.
They also suck.
They suck too. Yeah. It's a different kind of suck. It's a different kind of suck.
Like I said, why do you think I'm like so into the guy? And the older I get, like the less I associate with normies. Sadly, because it's just kind of like I can't deal with it. Yeah, I don't want to deal with it. I'm too old to like deal with that bullshit. Like this whole fucking song and dance you have to do around them. It's like, no thanks.
It's the reason why the world is the way it is, because most people are like that.
Yeah, and it's lame. So like, I don't want to deal with people like that.
And if they get worse, they can't have a lot of shit that fucking we could have. Like, you can't have freedom. They're free. If you let them free, they rape people. If you let them free, they fucking steal. They fucking, you know what I mean?
Because they're terrible.
They're fucking terrible. You're right. You're right.
It would never occur to me.
Yeah, the worse the people get, the harder you got to be in on them to keep them under control, because they're animals. People
Here's
are animals.
Here's the thing, that just kind of reminded me. Yeah. Of because I've been, I think I've mentioned on the show a few times, I've been an atheist pretty much my whole life. As long as I, when I was old enough to like figure it out on my own. I wasn't raised that way or nothing like that. I just figured it out by myself when I was 11 or 12 years old. And nothing I've seen since then has convinced me otherwise. And I realized I didn't really think too much about it until I was in college. And I was in a class, I don't remember what class it was, humanities, I don't remember what it was. And somebody was like talking about atheism or something like that, like in the context of something else. Like, I don't remember what it was. And somebody in the class like said that it's like, well, something to the effect of, and I've heard this argument many times, well, if you don't believe in a higher power, what's to stop you from raping, murdering, and stuff like that? And I looked at the dude like, do we need to put you on a list or like call the police or something? Because that has literally never occurred to me ever. Like, I don't need some higher power to like tell me not to do that. I just don't want to do that. Why is that hard? I don't really understand like why people need the threat of some. I'm like, that tells me a lot more about you than it does about religion. I'm like, that I need to stay away from you. Because if you didn't have that little nebulous fucking concept of maybe you'd get punished after you die, you would be doing all this shit, that is scary. Because I would never do that. Whether somebody's watching or not. I don't believe anybody's watching me. Ever. And I haven't thought that since I was 11 or 12 years old. And I never did anything bad, really, in my whole life. I never even stole anything. I think the worst thing I ever stole was, like, I stole some, like, little name tags, like, off the... When we were graduating from high school, we stole the little name tags, like, off our teachers. Like, woo, we're gonna... like, at the fucking graduation party. That was, like, the worst... That was literally the worst thing I ever did. Literally.
Yeah.
Never stole anything from a store. Nothing.
Yeah.
And not because I thought somebody was watching me, I was going to get punished. It never occurred to me. I just don't do bad shit.
I'm just talking about Steve had some Brazil stories. Cause I took Steve to Brazil with me one time when I was a kid.
Yeah,
we had a good time.
Crafter says some of the most moral people I've known were atheists. Yeah, same. Because the thing about it is, like I said, which is kind of branching off of what I said, because we don't need the threat
of going to hell.
Or like some higher power watching you. We're just good cuz.
All that stuff
because it's the right thing to do. We don't need anything.
All that stuff
to tell us otherwise.
All that stuff was invented as a fucking imaginary control grid.
Yes.
For people that were immoral and they couldn't control themselves.
And it's like they needed like something to keep them in line. I didn't need that. I just stayed in line on my own because why would I be mean to somebody else for no reason, or why would I hurt somebody for no reason? Like
they had to keep in line because they couldn't make judgments.
It never occurred to me.
They couldn't make judgments for themselves.
Why would I do that?
Yeah. Okay. How much more we got left on?
A little bit.
Okay.
So this motherfucker, like I said, he goes to. Now we're getting back to this.
Yeah, let's get back to these serial killers.
We can get into some more. So it's still like pretty early.
Friday we're gonna do another sidetrack.
So he goes to prison. Good. He was only in prison for 16 years. Actually, he wasn't even. He was sentenced to 16 years because that was the maximum sentence at the time, which is where we got sidetracked. Because, like I said, I think it's 35 years now in Ecuador, at least according to the website that I looked at that had a list of every country and what their maximum sentence was. Like I said, most of them were none, but Ecuador still said 35 years, so I don't know. But at the time, in 1980, 1981... It was only 16 years. That was all you could get. It didn't matter if you'd killed one person or if you killed 1,000 people. You were only getting 16 years, and that's what he got. So he goes to prison in Quito, in Ecuador. He got attacked, like knife attacks by inmates, which I can't feel bad about. So he got like a security detail. Now, he was kind of, sort of, I don't want to say famous, but he was kind of well known around this time. So a lot of journalists and stuff like would come in to interview him. And at this point, he did make like some contradictory statements about all the murders. And so, like I said, so there's some, here's the thing. I'm sure that he probably exaggerated, but the fact that he led them to several sites and they found 53 bodies does, just in the little day trip they did, leads me to believe that he probably killed like several times more of that. So I believe it. I don't know about 350, but it's not crazy like to think that if he kind of kept that pace up. But interestingly, as time went on, like when he got interviewed, he started trying to like allay responsibility a little bit, and he would start to say, well, it wasn't me. It was this other guy that did it, and his name was Jorge Patino. And I just helped him. I didn't actually kill anybody, but I did help him, like, hide all the bodies and stuff like that. So, obviously, nobody believed this. They just thought, was this, like, your weird alter ego that you're blaming this on now? Or what's the deal? So, yeah. So, he started, like, saying that it was this other dude. And he said that this dude had raped him and threatened him and made him do all this stuff when he didn't really want to, and that he had eventually killed this guy and buried him someplace. Obviously, there's no proof of this, and I think he was just trying to, like I said, allay suspicion from himself. But yeah. Now, so when it comes time for him to be let out, in the early 1990s, everybody's kind of freaking out, and they're trying to, like, well, how can we, like, get him to stay in there? Can we extend his sentence? Can we do additional convictions or whatever? Despite all their efforts, however, he was actually released a little bit early. He actually only spent about 14 years in prison, a little over 14 years. He was released in August of 1994. Shortly before he was released, the media did an interview with him, and he called himself the man of the century.
Okay. The man of the century.
Okay.
Okay.
And he said he was getting released for good behavior. I don't know if that's true or not, but they did release him a little bit early. So now they took him from the prison where he was released from. They took him to Ibarra because he was going to get deported. And after they read the order, like the deportation order, the cops took him and they took him in a car and they took him to the Colombian border. And like I said, they had to be like super sneaky about it, like driving around at night and changing cars and stuff like that, because in the meantime, because they knew that he was getting out, like the families of many of his victims had put a bounty out on his head, and justifiably,
like you should,
like understandably,
you should.
I mean,
in that case, hell yeah,
I would do the same.
Fucking right
in that circumstance. So
Jen told me, so when they let him out, and I went, they killed him.
I probably think that's what happened.
I didn't even know the fucking...
Because, man,
I know the culture.
So many people were gunning for him.
I know the culture. They killed him.
So I kind of feel like he's... Somebody fucking put him in a concrete block.
Yeah, they're not going to let that walk.
Buried him someplace.
No.
I mean, I hope that's... Like I said, I just hope that whoever did it... I'm not going to tell on you or nothing like that, but I hope they just...
No, you'd give you a fucking medal.
I made him... I hope that they made him suffer.
Beforehand. I'll give that bitch a medal.
That's all I'm asking.
System let a dude like that go.
Maybe skinned him alive very slowly or whatever.
Yeah, in America,
as long as it's something
in
like
America,
that.
we have learned by experience you never let a serial killer go.
You can't.
You can't.
They're not going to stop.
They won't stop. They'll go right back to it. Killing. In this particular case, letting him go was the same as killing a bunch of other little girls, because that's what would have happened.
Because it's possible.
I think they got him, though.
It's possible that he did kill some other girls after this. We're not entirely sure.
They probably got him, though. I think they killed him.
I mean, I would hope they got him as soon as he got out, because everybody knew he was getting out.
Yeah, he would have immediately started killing again.
Yeah,
he was hungry.
Well, he even said that.
Yeah, of course, it's his sexual orientation.
Yeah, he said that he would continue killing if they let him out, and they let him out anyway.
It behooves you to kill these.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not a big advocate of the death penalty or anything.
I am.
But in this case, people like this, you can't let them run around loose.
No, they'll kill somebody.
I mean, there's just no... They're not adding anything to society. No. They're not, you just really need to take them out. Mm-hmm. So they take him to the border, to Colombia. And he gets taken in by DAS officers. But in Colombia, there wasn't actually an arrest warrant against him. So they're like, well, we don't really know what to do with him. So they put him in a hotel for a little while. They did keep him under surveillance. Although his motel room door was left unlocked, but he didn't try to escape because he was pretty well aware that vigilantes were gunning for his ass. So he stayed where he was, like under police protection, I guess. Now, after about a week of this... El Espinal, where he grew up, actually did issue an arrest warrant for him because, they suspected him in a whole bunch of murders in Colombia as well. But they didn't ever file any official charges. Now, he gets taken to El Espinal. Like I said, his mom lived there. Like, that's where he grew up. However, while they were driving him there in the van was mobbed by 2,000 people, like, trying to fucking kill his ass. You know what I mean? So, yeah, like, I don't think this motherfucker got out alive. Like I said, hopefully he didn't. Eventually, they got away from that. They took him to Bogota. And then they, basically were like, they were trying to say that, I think there were some factions that were trying to, like, get him declared insane so they could put him in a mental hospital, like, so they could get him off the street. You know what I mean? So he got convicted. Okay. This is kind of complicated. You know what I mean? So he gets taken back to El Espinal after they had taken him to Bogota and did the medical thing. And they sent him back to his town. And then there was like another murder that had taken place that he was suspected of. So he did eventually get convicted of a murder there, of Flor Sanchez, which I mentioned earlier. But one of the doctors there said, no, I think he might be insane. And so he probably needs to put in mental hospital. And so there was like this big back and forth between like, can he stand trial? Is he crazy? Should we put him in mental hospital? Should we try him for the murder? Blah, blah, blah. Now, he did get sent to the psychiatric ward of a prison there. But he didn't get any medication. And they didn't really see anything. Like, he wasn't acting weird or anything like that. He was just acting like regular. And basically, they eventually, in 1998, declared him sane and released him. And they released him on bail, and the bail was about $70 in US dollars. So, They said the only condition was that, I think once a month he had to report to the authorities, and he had to show up for his therapist. That was the conditions under which he was released. Unsurprisingly, he completely disappeared and didn't show up.
Killed. For
anything like that. Well, I will say, there were a couple of sightings of him afterward. And he also did, and this is pretty well documented, he did actually visit his mom to ask for money. And she said, bitch, why do you think I have any money? Come on, I'm poor too. Like, she didn't give him anything. And then, allegedly, Pedro took her only possessions, which were like her bed and her chair from her house, and sold them on the street. Like, he's basically like, if they don't sell, I'm going to burn them, because I don't want you to have them. But they did sell. True? Somebody bought them. I don't know. That's what I've heard, like, and everything. Now, reportedly, the mattress and chair were pretty much her only possessions, and he threatened to burn them if they didn't sell, but somebody came along and bought them. That's what I've heard.
And he pocketed the money and left.
And then he pocketed the money and took off.
That bitch didn't make it.
Now, the last reported sighting of him was late September of 1999. He actually showed up at the National Civil Registry in Bogota, Colombia, to renew his citizenship card. And he had actually, everybody knew who he was, because like I said, even cops had pictures of him in their pockets and stuff like that. Cause,
so this is 99?
99.
Okay.
But he was actually using a fake identity to get through various checkpoints. But he did actually show up to renew his citizenship card with his real shit. And as far as anyone knows, that was the last time that he was ever seen. Now, in 2002, so 3 years after his last sighting, the Colombian National Police and Interpol actually issued new warrants for his arrest because there was a murder that happened in 2002, which was very, very similar to his MO. Now, this kind of manhunt went on for a few years, but then, weirdly, the Interpol warrant was deactivated in 2005 because they think there was an abandoned corpse that was identified as him, although as far as I know, that has not been confirmed by anybody. But I guess for Interpol, that was good enough, and they were like, fuck it. So they deactivated the warrant.
They must have known something we don't know.
So maybe they know something we don't know. Yeah. So like I said, I don't know. That was never definitively proven, or at least that wasn't released to the public.
So you got out in what year? Got out of prison what time?
1999.
99, and by 2000.
Or 1999 was like, September 1999 was the last sighting of him.
So 4 years later, basically.
Yeah.
He's found dead. And then they just kind of swept him under the rug.
Now, he was named as
he was killed.
As a possible suspect. There was a murder that took place of a woman named Andrea Buitrago in Colombia in 2012, which was very similar to one of his earlier murders. So he was named as a suspect in that. So they kind of like reopened the investigation slightly, like at that time.
Well, when does he have to renew his citizenship card?
Yeah, I'm not sure how. I mean, I don't know. Is it every 10 years?
That bitch is probably dead.
I imagine
he was dead.
That he's probably dead.
Yeah, I think he got out and lasted. What did I say? 4 years.
Yeah. It would shock me that if he lasted that long.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, everybody recognized him. Everybody was gunning for him. There were several bounties out on his head put up by the families of the victims. So I would be shocked if he actually lasted that long. But I don't know. It's just kind of like,
There's a chance that the police found his body. And then you said they didn't really verify it, but they told Interpol we got it.
It was good enough for Interpol. It
was good enough, yeah. Interpol,
okay. And they basically said, okay, never mind.
They probably
in 2005.
Yeah, they probably just... How much would I bet his body turned up suspiciously dead?
I imagine that's probably the case.
But they didn't want to make a stink about it.
Although, low-key, he's still considered a fugitive.
Yeah.
Even though, like I said, he'd probably be about 77 years old if he was still alive.
Understanding South American culture, what happened was that they found that body, and they go, we know who this is.
Oh,
and look, this was a murder. Let's not go, but let's not say that.
Yeah.
Because if we say it's a murder, we're gonna have to investigate and figure out who did it.
And we don't want to do that.
And we don't really want to do that.
Because they did the world a favor.
Right. So what we'll do is we'll tell Interpol who's looking for it, says, don't worry about it, we got this.
Yeah.
And then they swept his body under the rug. And they didn't have any kind of investigations of what happened. Like that. How much I bet he had a bunch of fucking wounds all over him. And they go, okay, yeah, they got him. Okay, we gotta sweep this. We gotta sweep this under the rug. Yeah, so call off a search, people. That's what happened.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Like I said, so many people were gunning for him.
Yeah.
Because in the United States, I feel like he's not really that well known here, but at the time this was going on, holy crap, everybody knew what he looked like.
That was what Brazilians call jeitinho, the little way.
Yeah.
We have these little ways. That's what happened. Because, you see, their laws say, well, this is a homicide, so we now have to do a homicide investigation. But they want to do that.
I mean, I could see that.
They were just like, okay.
Honestly, I don't blame, investigators. If they see somebody that turns up dead, that it's like, this guy was a pedo, or this guy was something like that. It's like,
he killed over 100 fucking children.
Suicide.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. Don't look for him anymore. We got him. Okay, get rid of this shit.
It's like, we don't even care.
He
Good
died.
job. He got random citizen.
He caught a cold.
Yeah.
He died of a cold.
I mean, I kind of hope that's what happened. I'm hoping that he's not running around. Like I said, there have been some murders over the years. Most recent one, I believe, was 2012, where they thought that it was very similar to his MO, and they thought that maybe it was him and he was still running around. But, I don't know. I kind of feel like so many people were gunning for him that he probably didn't make it that long. Because everybody knew he was getting out, and the media and the public in Colombia, Ecuador, around that time, were outraged that he only got 16 years for all of those murders. And were like, yeah, we're going to kill this motherfucker. Well, look, he just was transported from somewhere to the border in a van, and 2,000 people showed up trying to pull him out the van and, kill him.
And they put hits out on him.
Yeah. There were bounties out. Yeah, $25,000. And that was not the only one. There was a lot of the families of the victims had put out $25,000 bounties on him.
That's who got him.
So I kind of feel like that's probably what happened to him.
Yeah.
But, technically, nobody knows what happened to him. Last time he was seen was 1999.
If you want to collect that $25,000, they had dudes fucking looking for him. And somehow private investigators, fucking ex-cops, they fucking found him. And they took care of that shit. And then they got their money.
The thing about it is that dudes like this, they can't really stop doing what they do.
No, that's their sexual orientation.
So it's just kind of all you got to do is hang out by somewhere where there's some cute little girls. Yeah. And he'll show up eventually.
Yeah.
And you can just grab his stupid ass.
Go to the restroom.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, they got him.
Like I said, I hope that's what happened, and I hope that whoever got him, you're a hero for the first thing. But also, I hope you made him suffer. Like I said, I like the bullet ant thing. That was a cool idea. I don't even know if that really happened or not, but it's I hope somebody did that. We're gonna bury him up to his neck, like fucking Leslie Nielsen in Creepshow. We're gonna bury him up to his neck and pour syrup on his head and let the ants eat his fucking face off. That's pretty awesome. Like I said, I wouldn't wish that on 99.9% of people in the world, but dudes like this, I'm not gonna be upset about it. Not gonna lie. It's like, you know, although, and I've talked about this before. I kind of feel like this kind of shit. I'm not super bloodthirsty, I promise, but it's just kind of like dudes like this. The weird thing about it though is that because they do this kind of stuff, you know, almost by definition, that means that they don't have any empathy for other people. They just see other people as objects and things to be used or whatever. So it's like if you do the same thing to them, it's not really teaching them anything. I mean, yeah, it makes us feel better. Like that they actually got to experience, you know, a modicum of what their victims experienced. But I don't think it doesn't do anything for them. It doesn't give them any epiphany or anything like that. I don't think they're capable of it, largely. So, I don't know. So I'm kind of ambivalent about it in that way. But, because in some ways I'm like, man, I want them to know. Like, I want them to, like, realize. But I don't think they do. I don't think they're capable of that type of realization. You know, largely.
Well, based on what you told me, I'm pretty convinced that what happened is that private investigators who picked up that damn bounty found him and killed him. It was a hit.
Like I said, I hope so.
And then the cops got the body, and they was like, "Oh."
And they knew who it was.
Yeah,
and they were just kind of like, "Yeah, fuck this guy."
Okay, yeah.
Fuck this guy.
Yeah, that would be the South American way to do it.
Yeah.
Chino.
Yeah, I imagine that is probably the most likely scenario.
Yeah, because they were like, well, "Look, man, we're gonna spend all this fucking money tracking down these dudes.
He's not worth."
And then you're gonna find out these dudes are ex-cops that did it.
Yeah.
And then they're gonna say, and then we're gonna look bad, like we couldn't keep him safe. You know what I mean? Like, because this dude is public. We don't want people thinking that that hitmen could actually kill somebody and that works. Let's just
so we're just gonna.
Let's just
But
that's what happened.
Just gonna throw him in a hole somewhere.
Yeah. He died of a cold.
Just forget he ever
He died of a cold. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Probably the best thing to do. Honestly.
Yeah. That's why sometimes Chi is good.
Well, and also it might be as fucked up as this sounds, but it's like it might be that like if he got murdered like in super public, like there might be some weirdos out there that were kind of like sympathetic to him and were like, man, don't do that to that guy or something like that. So it's better to just like,
where's the rule of law?
So it's better to just like just kill him and throw him in a hole. And just
where's the rule of law?
Just forget.
That's what they say. We live by. We're a nation of laws, not just no. I understand it. I understand we're a nation of laws, but sometimes the law fails, and you got.
Like I said, in this situation,
you gotta fucking.
In this situation, I agree.
Right.
And like I said, don't bring any more attention to him than that's probably what he wanted.
Just let it forget.
Let him be forgotten.
Yeah, I think that's what happened.
You know, and just remember like the fucking probably 300 plus people that he killed.
Yeah.
Mostly little girls.
Yeah.
Except for those 3 adult dudes, I think it was all little girls.
Yeah.
You know. Because he was taking revenge on the world by killing little girls who had nothing to do with anything. So,
you know what time it is, right?
It's 10 o'clock.
It's almost 10 o'clock. You know what night it is, right?
It's Fallout night.
Fallout song. I want to see some Fallout.
Yeah. And it's actually still early enough that I probably won't fall asleep.
Yeah. Are you hungry? What's that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll see what I can find.
We gotta.
I got some.
We had like Thanksgiving.
I got some leftover fucking turkey.
We had Thanksgiving today.
Yeah, I got some leftover turkey. I can get you.
Because we had, at Thanksgiving, we bought like several turkeys because they were super cheap. Yeah. And we had a little 8-pound one.
Yeah.
And he made it yesterday. So we
can eat 4 meals off of it.
Yeah. Eating off that. I mean, it's small, but like.
Okay, so we're gonna be back on Friday.
Yes, for the Sidetracks show.
All right.
As always, that's a fucking fun show to do because we can just drink and talk about bullshit. I mean, more than we usually do. So hopefully you guys can join us for that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this show. Like I said, I thought this was a really interesting topic. I know we got sidetracks, but we always do. So yeah, so hopefully you guys have a good day tomorrow, and we will see you guys again for the Sidetrack show on Friday night. Good night.
Actually, that Thanksgiving I don't think it has any meat.
Oh, all right.
Is there anything? Maybe I can. Tuna fish sandwich.
Oh, okay.
Sounds good.
That. All right. Yeah. We'll see you guys on Friday.